talk to Thomas Partey and Jorginho, with Mikel Arteta admitting both could leave this month, and it looks like talks over Kieran Tierney's possible return to Celtic are progressing. Arsenal take on Brighton tomorrow evening. Finally, to Ali Pally, where Russ Bray's told talkSPORT he's not having fist-bumping between rivals.
You look at these guys that are winners, your Van Gerwens, your Gerwin Prices, they wouldn't be fist pumping. They won't be doing that sort of thing and smiling because, someone's done this and done that. They don't. They don't, because they're winners.
Stephen Bunting was criticised for being too pally with his mate Luke Littler in their semi-final last night. Russ also gave us a prediction for tonight's final.
Probably going to be the very best final we've ever had. Ever.
Littler v Van Gerwen is live on talkSPORT tonight from 7.
talkSPORT News.
Weather warnings for snow and ice for most of the country over the weekend, bringing travel disruption with it. And a 7-month-old baby boy has died in a crash on the A1. More from Sinead at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. Get 10% off 2 or more Bridgestone Turanza All Season 6 tyres and claim your free Kambuka bottle. Book today at quickfit.com or your local centre. Conditions apply.
Staying very cold today, but plenty of wintry sunshine. Snow mainly affecting coastal areas.
On 1089 and 1053 medium wave, on DAB, online and on your smart speaker. Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs on talkSPORT.
This is Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs with you through until 4 here on talkSPORT. Where this afternoon, Andy, please tell us what's coming up.
Well, coming up over the next 3 hours, we'll look ahead to the Premier League weekend. We'll preview a massive night at darts with both the littler of his generation and a Dutch darts fan. And we're joined by 2-time world champion Springbok and Leicester Tigers fly half Andre Pollard.
We're also interested in why you think you deserve your own blue plaque, plus sporting animal interference, and we'll look at some of the day's big transfer stories.
There's all this plus the clips of the week, the Fools panel, the best of the gaffers' press conferences, and 2 boozers head to college.
Yes.
In Todd Macklin's American Sports Roundup. And if you excuse me, I'm just going to remove this very, very heavy sweater I'm wearing.
Yeah. Now we're going to get a bit of ride up as it clings to the t-shirt.
There's going to be no ride up.
Paul ride up. That's good because that can be an issue, can't it? You find yourself taking a jump. Let's have some of your best jumper ride up stories. Hello, I'm Jumper Ride Up. It sounds like one of Jilly's characters.
No one's going to do that, are they?
Young, muscles rippling, Jumper Ride Up.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It happens. Anyway, what's the time? 5 minutes past 1. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Andy. And you have those situations, don't you? Like you might be you're like round Nan's friends, and you're a bit warm because she's got the heating up, and you take your jumper up.
You show you,
all your derbies
not a great look,
on offer.
Is it, really? No.
If you've got some of your great jumper ride-up stories, you are listening to talkSPORT. Let us know. talkSPORT.com, text 81089. Tweet TSH and J.
I don't know where that's going to go.
03717. Oh, the phones have gone mad. It's like we're giving a car away. 03717 223344. It's the sort of thing that happens to you, but then maybe you block it and you don't remember when it happened. Really,
it's true.
It's often like in shops, isn't it? You know, you're like in the middle of a department store. I just try that on.
Yeah.
Oh, your belly's
right,
all out.
Good point.
It's not a good look, is it? Anyway,
and talking of jumpers, you're wearing a very distinctive burnt orange. Very unusual.
Burnt orange is. I'm hoping Tottenham sign him as a goalkeeper.
Tremendous.
Sometime before January the 31st. I think he's Eintracht Frankfurt's third choice goalkeeper. He's 62. too. Takes him even longer to get to ground than Fraser Forster, who's like your nan having a fall.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's good. Anyway,
why did you bring that up? Is that
because I took my sweater off and
I'm not taking mine. I've got nothing underneath.
Well, I don't want you to. And then you were talking about riding jumpers.
Sitting here in me vest.
Jumpers. I didn't bring it out of nothing.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Jumpers were on the agenda.
They were, yeah.
No, I enjoyed yesterday's show.
Did you?
And I was thinking about it when I got home.
Makes
and
a
the
change.
reason no one else. I got home and I realised one of the reasons why it was good is because Chelsea lost. I'm much better when Chelsea lose.
Really?
Oh, it's much funnier, isn't it? And it's for everybody else.
Oh yeah, everybody loves it. I mean, when you
tune in on Monday because they're definitely losing this weekend.
When you turned on Ipswich the way you did and turned on poor old Jonathan Beals, blimey.
Yeah, they're playing Fulham this week, Ipswich. Come on, Fulham.
We don't need you going on a Liverpool-like run, but all the shows will be terrible, even worse than they are now. Do you deserve a blue plaque? I bring this up because it's blue plaque story. I saw it there. We may be following it up, actually, because it is interesting business. This is a blue plaque all over Sheffield these days. Sheffield, home of football, and the gentleman behind it, Stephen Wood, is a trustee of the Sheffield Home of Football charity. He puts up blue plaques all over the city.
It's the oldest club in the world, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. To mark great moments in football. Sheffield FC were the first team. I mean, some people still argue about it. And we may be talking about the first ever away game later on, the first ever away game of football, and they've put out a blue plaque
I was there,
to mark it. Yeah,
I was thinking, is that all you take away? There's no one there.
Not many years.
No, we should talk about
your
darts.
Support is... No, we can't sing that one. Yeah.
The darts last night.
Yeah. Sensational,
I don't often sit down and watch a whole game.
Right, and the walk-ons, the lot.
The lot. I watched the whole lot. Actually, the walk-ons, they're not quite as good as boxing, are they? I think it's possibly because...
The boxing ones have become too much.
Yeah, I suppose so. But
I'm not a big fan. I tend to
They
tune
look
in.
more like athletes. Not more like...
Yeah, I mean,
Let's be honest.
That's 03717. I wouldn't say it's particularly contentious to say that boxers probably are more athletic than darts.
Yeah.
Or are they? You let us know.
So it's just brilliant darts. Yeah. I mean, I felt for Bunting because he played well. Average 113 in the first set and you still lose.
A few little key moments where it could have been 4-2 and Littler came in and made it 5-1. That felt like it had gone.
The bullseye to make it 5-1 was just brilliant. And the 170 finish, absolutely brilliant. He was brilliant in the sixth set. So it's going to be a great fight.
Should be. I mean, as we said yesterday, with respect to everybody else, those two guys, it's going to be a fascinating final.
It was fascinating as well that because I couldn't work out why the crowd kept booing, and then I worked it out. It's because of Paddy Power's incentive to the crowd for a 9-dart finish. The player gets 60 grand, the charity gets 60 grand, and somebody in the audience
they
gets
want
60
everybody
grand.
to do 9
So,
darts.
of course, Littler threw 3, started with a 180 and then another triple 20.
Yeah.
And, of course, he didn't get it. And they all ooh.
Partly that. Partly it's when, people are being taken out the auditorium, so they have a go at the security.
Yeah, that was unusual, though, wasn't it? In the darts? Not normally trouble in the darts.
Boring tables. That's become another regular song. Let's go bunting mental.
Yeah,
we had a lot
was
of
all
that last
boring?
night.
Boy, I couldn't. Was that?
It's
what
just
they were
the thing. It's just you've got the people who are standing, and you've got the people who are up on the.
Oh, I see.
It's the people who are up on the grandstand because everybody's sitting. I mean, have you been there?
I have been there, but what I remember, and you forget about this, is how far it is from the stage to where the darts players are. Yeah. So by the time they go off and go all the way down and maybe go to the loo or whatever, then have to go all the way back.
It's a bit like those seats on the telly at Wembley. When
it is.
Come back from the second
It's about
half.
10 minutes to the stage. It's mad. But it was it's just tremendous, no question about it. And the coverage is really excellent, our coverage and Sky's coverage, of course. But John Part and Emma Patton, I don't know, I couldn't quite work out why they were so dressed up. They looked like they'd just come from a New Year's Eve party.
Well, it's the
semi-finals. Got changed.
It's the semi-finals.
No, but it's not. He was wearing like a full evening suit. Nobody else in the whole place.
The trouble is,
the darts players aren't dressed up.
Where have Darth and Maple and Emma got to go tonight, outfit-wise?
That's very true.
I mean, have they peaked too early? This is the question. Have they gone too early with the smart outfits?
It was very smart.
Yeah.
I just thought,
What do you want them to wear? Like a nylon top?
No, just
nylon darts.
I would have thought
top.
Normal clothes. I mean, nobody else in the auditorium. Everyone.
Yeah, most of them, they're not going to dress as Oompa Loompas, are they? Or a traffic cone.
I think they should.
Don't dress like everybody else in the auditorium.
Did you see that Trent Alexander-Arnold visited Venice? and got a MEP.
Got a MEP?
Very sad.
You're very... MEP? Is that because you've got Andre Pollard coming on?
Probably.
You're getting warmed up, are you?
Got a map out to find his way round.
I was quite surprised at that. He went old school. He was with his
Who doesn't
girlfriend in
use
Venice.
sat-nav?
And he
Sure, even I use sat-nav, and I'm
didn't
150.
Didn't use his phone. Yeah, out came the old map. I like that. It's good.
Well,
That's good and old school.
Yeah, it's a bit inconvenient, isn't it?
His jumper ride-up good friends with Sir Johnny Weaver, says Matt in Birmingham. I think he is.
My family used to hate it when I get a map out when we were on holiday.
Because it makes you look like a tourist.
Yeah, you look vulnerable too if you've got a map out. You're obviously not a local, are you?
No. Okay.
Brilliant thing to
It
say.
depends where you are.
Really?
You got undercover, had you? Agent Jacobs. I mean, imagine you did look like a tourist.
Did you know that Lionel Messi's got a property company?
Has he really?
Yeah, he's the chairman.
Wow.
It's worth 223 million, this property company. Wow. And Lionel is I can't imagine him at a board meeting.
I'd like to see him, yeah. He's getting lost in he's only a little bloke getting lost in the big chair like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, good for him, I suppose. Well,
are you investing, or is he looking for investment?
Asked me,
He's
no.
not going into Dragon's Den, is he? I wouldn't think.
I wouldn't have thought so.
No. Anyway, do you deserve a blue plaque? As we are interested to know whether there was something momentous happened in your life. It could be absolutely ridiculous, but you think it's worthy of a. It might be somewhere you fell over drunk. That's no, in the heartland. That's probably it. But is there a kind of moment you say, yeah, that's definitely where I deserve my blue plaque?
Alan should have a blue plaque in the Guinness tent at Cheltenham.
Yeah. Well, he's got Brazil's corner, isn't he? I mean,
that's
if you
true.
want to go and find Alan, we won't give it away, but
well, it's not difficult to
no,
find.
it's
He's
not.
quite a large man.
He's a large man in quite a small tent. But if you are at Cheltenham next year, about 10:05, yeah, Alan's corner. He does have
next year. It's about 8 weeks' time.
He is. Oh yeah, that's true. He is flanked by security, isn't he? A lot of security around him.
He does have a lot of security.
Yeah. Anyway, he doesn't really. Very approachable. Go and say hello. So, yes, where were we? Yeah, do you deserve a blue plaque? Talksport.com, text 1889 tweet TSH and J 03717 223344. Keith Deller knows what it's like to be in that Luke Littler situation, going into the big final as a young buck, although he is there for a second year, of course, is Luke. And we'll be chatting to Keith, see what he's made of it all. He's been working at the tournament, of course, spotting, letting everybody on TV know where the darts players are heading next. They seem to be on treble 19 a whole lot more than they used to, earlier than they used to.
Maybe. I noticed last night Bunting going for treble 18s.
Yeah.
A few treble 18s.
I mean, we'll talk to Keith. What was his favourite double? He'll tell us. I suppose every player has one. But double 10.
Oh,
I mean,
he loved
they're
double
always
10
right in the middle, aren't they?
Incredible.
I mean, they're not on the wire. They're just dead in the middle of double 10 for Luke Littler. So, Jason Bell joins us. It's the final regular weekend of the NFL, Andy, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
A couple of things to be decided and a few contentious issues to discuss with Jason.
Normally more goes down to the wire than this, so we'll ask Jason if it's been a bit disappointing in that way.
We'll build up to the Premier League weekend. We've got a Falls panel for you as well. If you'd like to represent the talkSPORT listeners in the Falls panel, give us a call now. We'll call you back at a call at 3. The 3 games we're covering, live and exclusive on talkSPORT. I'll be watching through the cracks of my fingers. Tottenham versus Newcastle tomorrow lunchtime.
It's going to be. I can't. Newcastle are so hot at the moment. It's hard to see Spurs getting anything out of that, but you never know.
Manchester City versus West Ham. That's talkSPORT 2.
Same with West Ham.
3 o'clock. Yeah, I think you've made your mind up.
Yeah.
And Liverpool Manchester United on Sunday afternoon. So, if you would like to predict the scores of those games, 03717 223344, 03717 223344. Call us now. We'll call you back at 2:45. Andy, what are you laughing at?
It's Eddie the Gooner says, if I'd had a map, if Andy had a map of Chiswick Cemetery, maybe he wouldn't have had a fall.
That's right, he wouldn't have had his fall.
No, well, I'm more likely to have had a fall because I've been looking in the map and missed the big root of the tree that I tripped over.
That's right, yeah. How's the shoulder these days,
not better,
Andy?
Yeah, I almost turned my arm over Christmas.
While we're doing a bit of housekeeping, what's the newly covered sofa? How's it holding up?
Oh, looking very good, yeah.
Yeah, marvellous. That's upholstery
doesn't
news.
attract dust.
Does
well,
it?
not, fluff. But my son bought us a mini Hoover. It's really good, actually. It's like a handheld Hoover. He didn't want to know.
Wish I'd asked.
I wish you hadn't.
Really wish I'd.
It was really bad.
Do you know what brand it is? I mean, people want to buy one, or what? You're going to do a link on the website?
No. Sean in Salford's got a very good point.
Has he?
He says, Lionel Messi as the CEO in the big chair would resemble Ronnie Corbett telling a classic joke.
Probably would.
It's a good image, isn't it?
And the producer would be doing all of that, wouldn't he? Anyway, Hawksbee and Jacobs here on talkSPORT. Keith Deller joining us next. We're here with our good friends at the Tool Station Club. The brand new loyalty programme gets you 5% of every order. 18 plus T's and C's apply.
talkSPORT traffic.
In West Yorkshire, the M1 southbound is closed after a collision at junction 45 for Leeds Cross Green. In the West Midlands, the M6 is partly blocked southbound after a collision between junction 6 for Birmingham and junction 5 for Castle Bromwich. And in Hertfordshire, long queues on the anti-clockwise M25. There are 2 lanes shut there for repairs after a collision between junction 24 at Potters Bar and 23 for the A1M. I'm Adam Moore.
Sunday afternoon, live championship football on talkSPORT 2.
He's popped up with an absolute belter of a goal.
Sunderland versus Portsmouth. Coverage from 2:45. Kick-off 3 p.m.
Sunday afternoon on talkSPORT 2.
No one else brings you more.
And he smashed it into the top corner.
Football fantastic.
talkSPORT 2.
Van Gerwen really looking focused. But straight away, Michael Van Gerwen is looking for a maximum and starts as he wants to go on.
Dobie's top corner of the 60 with another one in. Bullseye! Hello! Sometimes you need something to galvanise you in a big match, especially the biggest one of your life.
There it is. Michael Van Gerwen makes light work of Chris Dobie in the end. Hollywood could only take a set of the 3-time world champion.
Littler for 158 to hold throw. Start of set 3, leads 2-0. Hits the treble. And again, double 19 for the 158. Right on cue. He never misses. He never misses double 10. Tops for a second successive PDC World Final. And Luke Littler delivers a 6-1 demolition of Stephen Bunting. The pyrotechnics go off here at the Alexandra Palace. We are witnessing sporting brilliance. 17 years of age.
Yeah, 2 intriguing semi-finals, but pretty decisive from the 2 men who came through. And we get Michael Van Gerwen versus Luke Littler, £500,000 up for grabs this evening for the winner. Joining us now, another boy champion of a previous era, Keith Deller. Good afternoon, Keith.
Good afternoon.
Was it easier for the guys than you imagined, or were you fully expecting Michael Van Gerwen and Luke Littler to come through last night?
I thought Bunting would have pushed Luke Littler. I thought Stephen's been playing brilliant all year. He played well in the tournament. And I think the 3 darts, I think he missed, was it the 3rd set that he could have got, was the big problem for him. If he'd have got that 2-1 or... You know, he's back in the game, but 3-0 down, it was game over for me. And Luke Littler is just playing great, but also is Michael Van Gerwen is as well.
Every time Bunting missed a chance, and he had quite a lot of chances in a lot of sets, Luke just punished him, didn't he? Just followed up with a great set of darts.
Well, that's what happens, Andy. When you miss darts at a double, you give your opponent confidence, and if you keep missing a few of them, Go and Price did that as well. I mean, he did that in the quarter-final against Dobie, kept missing darts at the double. Well, if you start missing darts, your opponent starts thinking, well, he's not on his finishing today. He's going to give me more chances. So it's not a good thing. I think today you're going to see the final is going to be fantastic scoring. I reckon at least 30, 180s. It wouldn't surprise me a 9-darter tonight. Yeah. But it will come down to the shots around 100, 121. Them sort of ones can win the sets.
The standard could be off the charts. I agree with you.
Yeah,
it's going to be a great final.
Michael Van Gerwen has been saying, we spoke to him at the draw for the tournament, and he did seem very confident, very relaxed, far more relaxed than he'd been the year before, and he hasn't had the great.
He looked healthier as well. He looked ill the year before.
He hasn't had the greatest year, and he has been making the point that Luke Littler has not played me at my best. I mean, are we seeing Michael Van Gerwen at his best at the moment, or pretty close to it?
I'd say about 75, 80%. There's another 20% that Michael can go 114 average for fun. So can Luke Littler. But no, Michael hasn't been at his best. And that's the reason why maybe it's 2-1 to win tonight with the bookies. But the thing is, Michael knows that Luke Littler's not won the world title yet. Yes, he's only 17. We know that. But Michael's got 3 world titles. He wants the 4th one. And being the underdog, Michael does not like that. He always used to say, I'm the player to beat. But if we're being honest, Luke Littler's the player to beat in this tournament, but he's got a player in Michael Van Gerwen that can win this tonight.
Might be a bit harsh, this, but I was venturing this theory.
Yeah, I think Andy's gone a bit early with this, Keith, but let him run it
But
past
how
him.
important is this for Luke tonight? Because if you get to 2 finals and you lose, there is a danger. I'm not saying it's going to happen because he's a wonderful player and he will win it eventually. But, you know, we've seen great sportsmen in the past, a bit like Jimmy White, that sort of idea where you're always nearly there. You're in finals and everything, but you can't quite get over the line, you know. And I just wonder how psychologically damaging it might be if he doesn't win tonight. I feel he almost has to.
I'm not sure, really, Andy. I mean, he's 18 this month, and we all know that he's going to be in, you know, many finals. I don't think the pressure for him winning tonight it would be that reason. I think the biggest problem he's got to play Michael Van Gerwen, and Luke doesn't want to lose 2 on the trot because you start saying, well, he can't win the final when it matters, the big one. But I just feel that he's won a lot of tournaments this year. He's very confident. He knows that if he loses in a great game, then he can just say, well, that's just one of those things. If he loses tonight, where he's had chances at doubles and win sets, that's when it really hurts. But if you're going to lose, make sure the guy's played unbelievable. Then you don't feel so bad if you have lost.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen because
I think maybe that is a bit of a harsh, take. 03717. Is he the new Jimmy White?
No.
Bit early. Now, Russ Bray was on the station earlier on, Keith, and he wasn't massively impressed with the fist bumping that was going on between Bunting and Littler. Certainly from Bunting, who was losing and seemed quite sort of jocular in his eyes. You think you need winners out there. You shouldn't. And I think
it's not boxing. What can he do?
I know,
you know.
but I bet you tonight there'll be a bit more narc.
There will be more edge.
I don't see MVG fist bumping. Do you?
No, I don't like all that as well. I'm the same as Russ. And all this hugging at the end of the match, they can't stop hugging each other. Jesus, they should go on first dates or something. But
there was always narc with Eric. I've been watching some of the. I haven't watched it yet. There's a kind of darts documentary.
Who were the 2 that nearly got into a fight a few years back?
Kevin Painter, and was that with the Power? Who was that with, Keith? Can you remember? They nearly had a fight at the hockey, didn't they?
Yeah, Phil had a little altercation with Kevin Painter.
Yeah.
There was a few actually. I mean, some of the players that used to get in trouble like that. But to me, I don't like all that hugging. I don't like sometimes when they win a leg and they shouldn't have done, they put their hand up like this. And I'm thinking, why? If he don't hit a double, good job. Make sure he misses the next double. No, that's not for me, all that. But nowadays, it's everyone wants to be their friends. Oh, he's my best mate on the tour. So what? He's there to stop you.
If we've got 75% on it, Michael Van Gerwen, have you seen any sort of chinks in the Littler armour so far in this tournament, Keith?
I would say a few doubles, really. I mean, his score and power is always fantastic. I mean, 106 average. He was doing comfortable last night, and he was missing a few doubles, but there's not much weaknesses. There's not much. The same with Michael Van Gerwen. They're both really playing well. Michael's had 101 average, 103 average. So you can have 104 average, and someone can have 110. It could be just 2 shots or 1 bad leg. So averages sometimes are looked at too much. To me, it's just about winning the game, and I think we're in for a fantastic final. I feel it'll go very close. I have a feeling that MVG might just take it.
Well, really? Do you see it? So you see it going? We've got 13 sets tonight. You see it? You've seen it being a tight one.
I think so. I just think they're both playing really well. You know, there's going to be respect definitely for each other, but you don't want too much respect. You know, I think Michael will just get up there. He knows how to win tournaments, but so does Luke Littler this year. So I just think we're in for a fantastic final. I hope so, because the atmosphere at Ali Pali has been unbelievable. The crowd have been brilliant. Let's hope we don't get no whistling and all that sort of thing, because obviously the fans are all going to be behind Luke Littler. But I think we're in for a great treat, and to us, being just part of darts, it's going to be great.
I think that listening to the crowd, they've been good, really, generally, because when they've seen a player getting back into a game, they were doing Let's Go Bunting mental and all that, when they saw that he was creeping back into the game at times. Yeah. I mean, I know they have their favourites, but they do get behind the guys. They kind of try and get behind the underdog, the player who's struggling. So it does create a great atmosphere, doesn't it?
Exactly. They want the game to go on down to sudden death. They want to see the last leg shootout. That's what we want to see tonight. That'd be fantastic. We had it years ago with Barney and Phil Taylor. Unbelievable. Maybe the best final of all time. But yeah, the crowd are great. I mean, we had a lot of Whistling, but that was really more in Germany when they played in the European events. Yeah. But hopefully we won't get any of that. Let's just get behind both players. We don't want any booing tonight.
No.
Let's just get the better the atmosphere, the better the players will play, and they're going to get more value for money. And I mean, they deserve to be there on merit. Who's going to win? It's going to be tough. I think it's going to be a great game.
Excellent. Well, enjoy, Thanks, Keith. Good to talk to you.
All the best. Cheers, Paul. Cheers, Andy.
Keith Denner there, former world darts champion.
It's going to be great.
It's live here on talkSPORT from 7 o'clock. We got the full final for you. We'll stick with you as we did last night, as long as it continues, and the sports bar will take over with Adam Cattrall and Carl.
Could be a very long final, couldn't it?
Sorry?
Could be a very long final.
Could be a long final, yeah. And to build up to it from 4 o'clock, Andy Goldstein and Darren Bent are live from Alexander Palace. Going to hear from both players, speak to some of the commentary team, just give you a flavour. Speak to some of the punters who are going tonight, just give you a bit of a flavour of a big night of darts, live on talkSPORT. So drive at 4, live from Ali Pally.
talkSPORT News.
Andre Pollard joins us very shortly of Leicester Tigers and South Africa. An eventful game last weekend. They play Exeter, who got their first win at the weekend this weekend, so we'll be chatting to him. Also coming up, Jason Bell on the NFL. We'll look at the big transfer stories of the day, the Falls panel, and of course the clips of the week, all to come. But Sinead Garvin has the news headlines for us now.
Thanks, Paul. Good afternoon. An amber weather alert for snow and ice has been issued across most of England and Wales. Yellow alerts for wintry conditions will cover the rest of the UK as temperatures plummet to below freezing overnight. Meteorologist John Hammond tells us where the worst of it will be.
The amber warning caters for the prospect of a foot of snow through Sunday across higher elevations of the Pennines, possibly Snowdonia, possibly the Peak District.
A 7-month-old boy has died in a crash when the car he was travelling in hit a tree near Grantham last night. Lincolnshire police say they are looking at whether ice was a factor. The number of people in hospital with flu in England quadrupled last week compared to the end of November. NHS data suggests over 5,000 people were being treated on Sunday versus over 1,000 30 days earlier. And former NHS Trust Chairman Roy Lilly reckons we'll see these figures increase.
People have been together with their families, partying, shopping, public transport. It means that, as bad as they are now, I think we need to brace ourselves for worse numbers to come.
And it says the government's been discussing its plans to reform social care in order to tackle long waiting lists. But ministers are saying proposals won't even be published until 2028.
Talk Sport with Bostik. If you're looking for a professional grade sealant that offers technologically advanced performance, choose Bostik Pro Sealants.
Slot to field his strongest side against United. That includes Trent, and Eddie Howe says there's plenty more to come from Newcastle. Tomorrow's lunchtime trip to Spurs is live on talkSPORT.
It's another massive day of football action here on talkSPORT, and fur is quite literally expected to fly. So let's take a quick look at today's pedigree lineup. At the back, no surprises here. John Terrier,
best in show football coverage,
and Kyle Walkies
on the radio station that's the absolute dogs.
Oh, superb tackle.
Fans' best friend.
They've come from behind to lead.
talkSPORT.
Back to you in the studio while I just clean this off my shoe.
Paul Hawksbee Andy Jacobs here on talkSPORT. Jason Bell, former NFL star, will be popping in to see us a little bit later on, final weekend of the NFL season, and we're going to be bringing you a big game here on the talkSPORT network. We'll build up to that and look at some of the talking points and what is still to be decided. But before all of that, it's time to take a look at this weekend's rugby action, thanks to Premiership Rugby.
Talking tough on talkSPORT with the Gallagher Premiership Rugby Final 2025. Mark your calendars for the 14th of June as next summer promises a clash like no other.
And we are joined now by a two-time world champion, Springbok and current Leicester Tigers player. It's Andre Pollard. Andre, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. All right?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. That was an eventful game last weekend, wasn't it, against Quins, that you had a sort of big part in towards the end. You don't get a lot of draws in rugby, but 34 all.
Yeah, it was a very eventful one. Great experience playing in a sold-out Twickenham. It's always fun to get the club teams there. And it was a great game, I guess, for the spectators, not so much for us. But listen, end of the day, we snuck in there to get 3 points from the game. So never happy with the draw, but we'll take that.
Our rugby expert Andrew McKenna says that 3 times over the years, Quins and Leicester have played in the big game, and all 3 have been draws, which is very strange, isn't it?
Oh, no, that is a crazy stat. I almost can't believe that.
It's weird. You mustn't enjoy the pressure. I mean, 78,000 people, a kick to draw. I mean, that's a lot of pressure, isn't it?
It is, but it's fun, man. I mean, that's what when you're a small kid in the backyard, training your kicks and playing around, that's what you dream of. You want to kick those kicks and be part of those moments. It's not always going to work out, is it? But you got to enjoy those moments.
With respect to the Premiership, you've had bigger moments than that when you've been under pressure. True. And I just wondered, I mean, is that something you can train for? Because in those moments, is it mental? Is it physical? I mean, it must be. I suppose it's a bit of both, really. But can you prepare yourself for that, or was it just in the moment?
Yeah, I think it's mostly mental. Your body is going to do whatever your mind says. It's only the pressure that can get you. So what I've basically learned over the years is like addressing those moments, knowing that it's going to come down to a kick in a game, instead of trying to not think about it. Actually do think about it as much as you can and sort of prepare yourself for those moments. But listen, like I said earlier, you got to enjoy those moments. Not always going to go your way, but that's the stuff you dream of.
Yeah, I suppose you can't be thinking, oh, hang on, this is for a place in a World Cup, or this is for a World Cup. No, that's what you can't have in your head, I take it.
No, that's not going to work out very well.
So we're watching the cricket from South Africa, and the weather's really lovely out there. Do you miss it at this time of the year? It's pretty cold.
Yeah, I've got to say, over Christmas and New Year's, it's a great time back home. So all the families at the beach having some some summer holidays, but it's all right. I'll get my time one day.
All right. So, yeah, because you'd normally have this time off. You wouldn't be playing in South Africa, would you?
Yeah, you'll have off over Christmas and New Year's, yeah.
Have you kind of got used to it now in the couple of years that you've got games at this time of year?
Yeah, no, 100%. I've been in Europe now for 6 years now, so I'm well used to it. Try and embrace the cold. Still tough, but I try to.
Now, Exeter, they've been on a tough old run, but they did get their first win last week. So I wonder if that, you know, are they going to make them more dangerous, you feel?
Definitely. I think for a team like that that's been through so much sort of hardship to begin the season, to get that injection of positivity and just energy that they will have off the back of last weekend will make them very, very, very tricky. But yeah, we're at home. It's up to us to get a win again. We haven't won a game in the Prem in the last 3, so it's a big one for us as well. And we'll give it a all.
And it's all pretty tight at the top of the table, isn't it? Sort of playoffs wise in the mix. So it's going to be a tight run, isn't it?
It is. It's going to be a very tight run. It's very competitive in the Prem this year. You can never predict any results, which is fun and makes it entertaining. But I reckon the next 2 or 3 rounds is going to be very important for everyone to get themselves sort of some separation from the top, from the bottom to the top. So it's a very, very important time.
Are you in sort of enjoying life at Leicester at the moment? Because there's some talk about you moving on, Andre. What's the latest situation?
Yeah, listen, I love Leicester. I love playing for Leicester Tigers. It's unbelievable to be part of this club. And yeah, currently I can't give any more comments on my future. Like I said earlier on, there's still a few stuff we have to look after and sort out. But at the moment, I'm just really enjoying the opportunity for playing for such an iconic club.
Fantastic. And on the England front, we see they're off to Argentina. They just announced a couple of tests over there this summer. I mean, watching England playing in England and playing with a lot of the England players, what are you making of their form at the moment?
Listen, it's easy to be negative if you just look at results, but I mean, it's been so close. In international rugby, the margins are so small. So listen, they've got a great group. They've got a really high quality of players and coaches all around, so I'm sure they'll come around. Argentina away, that's not going to be very easy, is it? Like we found out this year as well with South Africa, it's a very tough place to tour. So, but again, that's where you learn a lot from your guys and see what character they have, and yeah, I'm sure they'll do that.
Fantastic. Well, we wish you well at the weekend for the rest of the season, Andre. Thanks very much.
Thank you, guys. Cheers. Have a nice day.
There's Andre Pollard there of Leicester Tigers in South Africa. And, yeah, they take on Exeter tomorrow, another busy weekend of Premiership Rugby. And that was thanks to Premiership Rugby.
Talking tough on talkSPORT with the Gallagher Premiership Rugby Final 2025. Get your tickets now at premiershiprugby.com.
People reacting to the news of your slightly dusty sofa, Andy. Just to keep you in touch with the story, Andy had his, after quite a tour, we were on air one day and his phone went, his mobile was still on, and he said, "Oh, it's the upholsterer. I've been trying to get hold of him. I really need to take that." He's on air.
What could I do?
So I said, "Well, feel free."
Hard man to get hold of.
Yeah, so he didn't take the call, but I mean, he was pretty close. He was pretty close to it. And then the kind of whole story of Andy's re-upholstered sofa started to unfold. Will he get it done? Won't he get it done? It was a real
family occasion.
Oh, it was tremendous. It was the suspense. Anyway, he got it done, and he's been telling us earlier on it's been collecting fluff.
Yeah,
is that right?
It's a sort of woolen. I don't really want to talk about this. It's a woolen fabric.
Oh, okay. Well, Ian in Altrincham says.
I've just looked at Bill. He's never been more interested in the show ever. It's incredible.
Not your every word. Ian in Altrincham says, "Andy, you need a fluffer." No, he said not one of those, but yeah, the ones they use on the underground trains when they close at night.
Oh, okay.
Do you know anybody who works on? Or ask our mate Crackers. He may have contacts in the fluffer department. Well, ask Crackers. He used to drive on the Piccadilly line. We were asking about Jump. The great Andy was pulling off his fisherman's sweater earlier on, and I was expecting some kind of ride up. With his
they're wonderful sweaters. They're knitted in the Shetlands, but they're so thick you can't wear them indoors.
Really?
Yeah.
Just too warm.
Too warm. Okay. Tremendous.
Great news for the Shetlands there. So we were asking about jumper ride-up moments. Where's it come from? One of the listeners put their name on this. I haven't put their name on it. Not a jumper ride-up, more of a shorts ride-up. Oh, that's not good.
That's worse.
Coming down to Helter Skelter with my son.
Oh, yeah.
As we were on a holiday, I only had a pair of football shorts on. When we got to the bottom, there was more on show than I would have wanted. The wife was horrified. The old Alan Partridge, you've popped out the side, Alan. What about that? Thank you very much. I deserve a blue plaque, says Lee in Manchester. We're asking, where do you think you should have your own blue plaque and why? There was a truck stop cap on the A49 near me in Cheshire, and I was on top of the leaderboard for fastest to eat the belly buster breakfast.
What a proud boast.
They got rid of the challenge after that, so I think I finished top once it was retired. I should definitely have a commemorative blue plaque.
I think you should.
Outside there. So, all right, Lee, fantastic. We'll let you have that one. That's yours if you want to fund it yourself and organise the whole thing. That's the best we can do for you. Is Andy's sofa like Trigger's broom, says Paul in Ipswich. Yeah. Talking of which, over Christmas, I went along and saw The Only Fools and Horses.
Oh, did you?
Which they're on tour with,
Right.
with Vinnie Jones as local villain Danny Driscoll. We did a very good job, and old mate Paul Whitehouse was in it. It's a really good night. So it's on tour near you. Do go and check it out. It's a really fun night.
Did you hang about backstage?
I did, love. I went and had a drink with Paul.
Of course you did.
Vinny couldn't stick around. He sent his love.
Oh, right.
Yes, but no, it was, I did go and have a pint.
Their Christmas Gone fishing thing was just
sensational,
wonderful.
wasn't it?
It's
Yeah,
such a
very
wonderful programme. Brilliant.
So, yeah, do you deserve a blue plaque? Talksport.com/H&J. Text to 81089. You can tweet to TSH&J, TSHANDJ. Just a reminder, if you want to try and guess the scores of 3 big games this weekend, 2 of which you'll hear on TalkSport. Falls panel coming up in an hour. Call us now, we'll call you back. And you can predict the scores, take us on, our commentator, our pro. Tottenham versus Newcastle. Live on TalkSport tomorrow lunchtime. Manchester City, West Ham, that's on TalkSport 2 tomorrow afternoon. And Liverpool, Manchester United on Sunday. We'll keep you updated in the Sunday session with Sam and the gang. 03717 223344. That's 03717 223344. Call us now. We'll call you back, get you involved in an hour's time.
talkSPORT traffic.
Hertfordshire, 40 minutes of queues on the M25 anti-clockwise, which is partly blocked after a collision near junction 23 for the A1M. In Hampshire, the northbound M3 is partly blocked after a collision between Winchester at junction 10 and junction 9 for the A34. And in Manchester, the M60 clockwise is partly blocked for emergency repairs, and they're taking place at junction 22 for Failsworth and the A62. I'm Adam Moore.
The transfer window is now open. Get details of all the deals as they're done. The January transfer window on talkSPORT and talkSPORT 2.
Going to talk a bit of NFL now. Final weekend of the regular season, and once again, the former NFL player Jason Bell's joined us in the studio. Jason, good afternoon.
What's up, fellas? Yeah, end of the season right here, and then the tournament starts, and that's when it gets interesting.
There's a bit to be decided, but not a great deal, is there? So where are we at broadly?
Yeah, well, we got the one big one is we have the Lions versus the Vikings, and that's for the number 1 seed. That is a big game, and both these teams could be in the Super Bowl and could win it. So that is a battle that we get at the end of the year. So we're lucky the schedule makers did that. It'll be fun to watch.
It's all about home field advantage, isn't it, for these teams who finish number 1? But then, and you get a week off.
Yeah.
Is that a good thing, though, to get a week off? Sometimes I'm not sure it is.
It is for a couple of reasons. First of all, you can rest, and you got more time to evaluate the team you're playing, right, to prepare. And then you're at home, which is your familiar. If you're an indoor team in your dome, in your area, cool. If you're outdoors, there's the advantage. So it's all about advantage and time. You know, for the younger guys, it could be dangerous, but for the vets, we need all the rest we can get.
Yeah. Now, Bill Belichick, the legendary coach of the Patriots, these days college coach, of course, has been talking about, because with the playoffs in mind, we will see some fairly key players potentially rested for these final games. And he was making the point there is a danger in his experience of this, that you're basically saying to some guys, look, these guys aren't expendable, but you are. You're cannon fodder. You've got to go out and do that. But we're going to, maybe these 6 or 7 guys, they're kind of too important to play. And I mean, you've been in a locker room in that situation. But is that a good point?
Great point, and that's why he made it. It's risky business. Why? Because you're telling somebody else they matter less than another person. And you know what happens is you can't rest everybody, right? So say you rest your offensive line. They're a little banged up, but you got to start your running back. And he goes out there and gets smashed because he's got a backup offensive line. What does that say? How does he feel? So it's about managing those expectations. And really, you got to talk to your players who are playing and who are not, and tell them why. I think when we understand the reasoning behind it, we can get behind it and kind of allow you to lead us that direction. But it's still hard because, you know, a head coach only has so much time. He doesn't want to talk to every player about that, but you kind of have to.
Yeah.
I just want to mention this. Yeah. I've just seen this. The Eagles are going to rest Saquon Barkley, and that is significant because he had the chance to break Eric Dickerson's long-standing single-season rushing record. He must be so frustrated because it's an incredible record. It's something like 2,100 yards, isn't it? It's a lot.
And he would have broke it against his former teammate, team the Giants.
Right.
You know, so yes, this is one of those things where the head coach had to talk to him and say, you know, what do you want to do? Now, the reason with that is if you start him to break that record, you have to start the entire offensive line. They all got to be out there with him. And if one of those people get hurt and it impacts you in the playoffs, that's on the head coach. So I see why he had to sit out.
101 yards short, he says. Just out of interest, because it's when I first got into American football, I went and looked at Eric Dickerson, a sort of 4-minute highlight. Oh, what a player.
Oh yeah, he was so smooth, and he was tall. Yeah,
Tall.
Running through the hole like that with that big of a target. But yeah, he was silky smooth, man. I used to love watching him and the gargles too. I mean, that was cool.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant player.
Now they've announced the roster for the Pro Bowl, which used to be it was a bit like the All-Star game. It used to actually be a game, didn't it? But I don't.
It was never much.
Yeah. They started playing in the fourth quarter really hard because there's usually like a $50,000 bonus. Some guys would be like, "Hey, man, let's play hard right now." But yeah, it was different. Nobody blocked, nobody tackled. It was all about scoring.
Yeah, you can't really have a game. You can't put the guys through that, really.
It's a nice trip to. Is it still Hawaii?
Not anymore. It's in Florida.
Oh, right. Okay.
They move it around, but now they play a flag football game, which is quite exciting.
It's kind of symbolic now, isn't it? It's just an honour to be on it. It's the kind of best players of the regular season. There's a few notable. Patrick Mahomes, the Chiefs quarterback, isn't on there, is he?
That's crazy. It tells you the quarterback power in the AFC. I mean, when you think about Joe Burrow probably took his position there, and Joe Burrow is playing an MVP year. You got, obviously, Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. I mean, those guys are having epic years, so it's tough. But, I mean, when you look at Patrick Mahomes, he gets better in the playoffs. He was the MVP in the playoffs last year, and that's what matters.
I was going to ask who votes for the people on the Pro Bowl roster.
The fans do.
Ah.
You know what I'm saying? It's the fans. They get a vote. It's popularity, and a lot of times it's who played good last year gets the Pro Bowl vote.
Or who they're stepping out with, because Travis Kelce got a lot of votes, Jason.
That's ridiculous.
I wonder who voted for Travis Kelce. I mean, I don't know if anybody's paying close attention to him, but it makes sense. And hey, it's better for the NFL. You got all those eyeballs, all those votes. It matters. And yes, that's why he's in the Pro Bowl. He knows it. His teammates probably all over him about it.
Has he had a good enough season? Would you have put him in there if you were voting?
No, I wouldn't have put him in the Pro Bowl. But he's had some big plays, and it's all about him being healthy in the playoffs. They got a chance, but there's no way I ought to put him in the Pro Bowl. No chance.
Will he? I mean, his brother retired, didn't he?
Yeah.
At the end of last season. Will he carry on? Do you think? Or?
I don't know. He's talked about kind of slowing it down and kind of doing his thing with his significant other, but. When you look at his brother and what he's done, I mean, he's on every commercial in the U.S. Their podcast is quite popular, so he wants to go into acting. So he's got a lot of opportunities, and you want to leave the NFL before the NFL kicks you out. Trust me, as a guy who got kicked out. You want to leave before they kick you out.
That's good.
And if you were calling it now, as we head into the playoffs, who would be your Super Bowl winners based on what you've seen so far this regular season?
Man, it's tough. I was talking to my buddy who's a head coach, and he said, man, those Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen are special. But I'm looking at the Baltimore Ravens, man. I like the way Lamar Jackson is playing, and I can see them going against the Vikings in the Super Bowl and getting the win, man. But you got to beat Patrick Mahomes and those Chiefs first, so it's going to be fun.
Yeah. I think Josh Allen's another one who's going to be – I think he's going to start the game for the Bills, and then he's going to be asked to sort of sit it out.
Yeah. You're going to see a lot of that, even like with Lamar Jackson in Baltimore. They need the win, so if they get to a lead early, then they sit down. So you're going to see a ton of that happen is, hey, let's get control of this game and let's get our guys out of there healthy.
Fantastic. Well, we will catch up with you soon, Jason. We'll be into the playoffs next.
Oh, it's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting.
Good stuff. Good to see you as always.
All right, fellas.
Former NFL player Jason Bell there. Still to come this afternoon. Mickey Gray's going to be joining us for a chat looking ahead to the Premier League weekend. He'll stick around for the Falls panel.
One listener thinks we're going to win 7-1.
Well, I mean, we've switched that one out. I don't quite know why, but we have it. Fulham Ipswich we're doing instead.
Oh, okay.
Maybe to avoid. Oh yes, we are going to talk about Manchester United with Mickey because he's just been along to Ruben Amorim's press conference. So we'll switch that one out. We'll bring you Fulham Ipswich. I know Andy will be getting behind for that one. So bitter. Clips of the week to come later on. Todd Macklin joins us, and we'll continue building up to the darts with Robin Jongmans, who is their Telegraph's. That's the Dutch newspaper's darts correspondent and a close mate of Michael van Gerwen. So continue the build up to our live darts this evening from 7. And don't forget, 4 o'clock, Andy Goldstein, Darren Bent, live from Alexander Palace to build up to the big one. Chatting to both the players, all the main protagonists, all the commentators. So don't miss that from 4.
Sport.
With the Lookers Big Event. Enjoy an extra 12-month warranty and RAC breakdown cover on selected used vehicles. Visit lookers.co.uk.
We'll be hearing from Ruben Amorim and a number of the Premier League managers ahead of the weekend's games a little bit later on. As we said, Mickey Gray will join us fresh from Amorim's press conference ahead of the Liverpool match, and we'll hear what he had to say and all the fallout from that and look at some of the other big games in the Force panel. But before that, Ben Fletcher has the sports headlines.
Well, we'll start at Old Trafford, Paul. Harry Maguire staying there for a bit longer, with Ruben Amorim triggering his one-year contract option.
I spoke with him this morning and I told him that he has to improve his game on the pitch. We need him a lot. And also he needs to improve as a leader because we all know the situation that he had here. But we need him a lot in this moment.
The United manager says Amad Diallo is close to agreeing a new deal. Meanwhile, Juventus are interested in Joshua Zirkzee, who struggled with 3 goals in 19 games this season. And we're told United would have to pay most of Marcus Rashford's wages if the swap deal with Napoli for Victor Osimhen comes off. United make the short trip to Liverpool on Sunday. Arne Slot says Trent Alexander-Arnold can expect to play, that despite the Real Madrid distractions.
I see him on a training ground every day, working his ass off. So he's fully committed to us, and he will play on Sunday. If they don't tell me he's sick, but I don't expect them to.
There's plenty more in Crookie's Transfer Notebook podcast in all the usual places. Arsenal have Kai Havertz back from illness for Brighton tomorrow. Could Declan Rice be rested?
Yeah, on his case, especially, he plays so much football. We had 9 games in this period, in this month, and he has some niggles in the last few games. He had to come off, and yeah, we have to manage every player, and he's not an exception for sure.
Mikel Arteta admits both Partey and Jorginho could leave this month with their contracts up for renewal, and we're hearing Celtic have stepped up their efforts to re-sign Kieran Tierney. A reminder, the PDC World's Final Litlevy MVG is live on talkSPORT.
talkSPORT News.
The UK's bracing itself for heavy snow and ice over the weekend, and hospital patients with the flu have quadrupled. More from Sinead at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. Sort your new tyres this winter at a time that suits you best. From the comfort of your home or work 7 days a week with our mobile tyre fitting service. Conditions apply.
Staying very cold today, but plenty of wintry sunshine. Snow mainly affecting coastal areas.
On 1089 and 1053 medium wave, on DAB, online and on your smart speaker. Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs on talkSPORT.
Yes, good afternoon. It is Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs here on talkSPORT. We're coming up in the second hour. Mickey Gray will be joining us this afternoon. Look at some of the big Premier League games. So we'll hear from Ruben Amorim and see what Mickey made of his press conference ahead of that difficult assignment against Liverpool at the weekend.
You've got to take heart from Rangers yesterday against Celtic.
Yeah.
No one thought Rangers were going to win that game.
No.
They end up pretty comfortable, wasn't it?
Yeah, 3-0. It was a hell of a performance.
Not saying United are going to go there and win, but,
no.
But you never know.
No, you never know. We're going to be looking at Tottenham versus Newcastle, Manchester City versus West Ham, a late change, Fulham Ipswich. There are 3 games. We're going to ask you to predict the scores. 03717223344 if you'd like to represent the talkSPORT listeners against our pro and indeed our commentator. So get your calls in now. We'll call you back. 03717223344. Just a simple prediction. And also, why do you think it will go the way it does? And you can win some points for the panel beaters. Andy.
Have you ever heard of Mr. Beast? He's YouTube's most successful video maker. He's got 340 million subscribers.
I think he does quite elaborate sort of stunts and stuff, doesn't he? That's his thing.
Yeah, but he's got engaged to Thea Boyson, a South African woman.
Okay, yep.
She's a YouTuber. She's only got 40,000 subscribers.
Wow.
So it's a big boost for her, isn't it?
Well, I'm sure that's not the reason why they're getting hitched.
No,
that would be a bit sad.
A photo of Victoria Beckham.
I take it that's not his real name, is it, Mr. Beast?
Jimmy Donaldson.
Oh, okay. Okay. Otherwise, what's his intended name? What is it?
Oh, thanks.
Can't find it
Thea
again.
Boyson.
So she'd be Theo Boyson Beast, would she? Boyson, get out of here.
Ivy. That's her sister.
Yes.
It's ridiculous.
According to my missus, not me, this is one of the listeners, I deserve a blue plaque because if I tell her I've taken the rubbish out, she says, "Oh, you deserve a blue plaque with your name on it."
That's a good one.
Yeah, thank you for that. Do you deserve a blue plaque and why? Where should it be? What did you do in that particular spot to merit having your own blue plaque? We've already had one. Somebody did the belly buster breakfast in the fastest time. And they feel outside this cafe, they should have their name on a blue plaque.
He's got a point.
Talksport.com, text 81089, tweet TSH and J 03717 223344.
The TV presenter Adil Ray is in trouble for fat-shaming Luke Littler. Have you seen this?
Oh, okay.
Apparently he made unacceptable remarks about the 17-year-old prodigy. I didn't hear it, so I had no idea. He said Adil complained about Luke's weight and admitted his comments might not be very popular. I'm a little bit worried about Littler. He's 17 and turning into the look of a darts player. I don't want him to get too unhealthy. What's he got to do with you? He can do what he wants, guys. Okay.
Well,
getting involved.
I don't know. Well, you're getting involved, aren't you? You're suddenly right in the middle of it.
Well, I am.
Andy Jacobs has been parachuting into the Adil Ray Luke Littler spat.
Now, when you look at a footballer, you can't tell how they dress off stage. It's not a stage. Off the pitch.
Yes.
And
all the world's a stage, Andy.
Ruben Diaz, there's a photo of him today. What a fashion plate. I didn't realise.
Fashion plate? Is that
look at him. Look what he looks like.
Is that a phrase?
That's a phrase, yeah. Anybody that sort of looks like that is called a fashion plate. Did you not know that?
I've never heard that before in my life. I know you worked in fashion.
I know. It's probably very old.
No one ever used that. No one's used that.
50 years.
Yeah, fantastic.
Tremendous.
So what's he wearing, Andy? Talk us through. I haven't seen
He's
the picture.
A camel overcoat.
Yeah.
Very nice. A 3-button with a sort of a single breast but quite short lapel. Then he's got a sort of black suit underneath,
a
bit John Part-like, and then a black T-shirt.
When I think of black suits, I think of John Part, Darth Maple, because he wore one last night.
That's all right. Yeah. And a black hat. Bit George Galloway, George Galloway's hat.
Well, I'm sure Ruben will thank you for that. Yeah.
Yes.
Nice. Okay.
That's it, yeah. Well, I thought I'd mention it, but well done to him for that.
Good. Anything else?
What else? Oh, I've got to do. I'll have to do 10 squats in a minute because.
Are we?
Yes. If you only ever, this is very interesting research. I got this from the Times yesterday. If you only ever do one strength exercise, make it 10 squats every 45 minutes of a working day. Researchers reporting the Scandinavian Journal of Medicine and Science. One I take, I get that every week.
Yeah, it's good read.
Very good, actually, yeah. That suggested doing 100 squats a day, 10 every 45 minutes, boosts the body's ability to control blood sugar, warding off...
Well, go on, let's do 10 now then for the YouTube audience. Okay, there we are. You want to get in the... There we are, right, get in the camera, there we are, fantastic. Listen to that.
Not bad.
Has it gone? 3, come on, 4, starting to creak.
Exercise on the radio. This
Look at that. 6. They said it wouldn't work. We get Dance to commentate on it.
Yeah.
There we go. 8.
Mr. Demotivator.
Look at that. 9. Oh, not bad. He can bend his knees 10 times for a man of his age. I think can your granddad do that? Not bad.
Fantastic.
Impressive, Andy. Well done.
I'm very impressed.
I did like the first one when he went, oh. That's what he eased in with, like a buzzer on a quiz show.
That's the sort of noises you make when you get to a certain age.
I'm sure Fern was highly amused watching you do that on YouTube. Because it is time now for our bet builder with Paddy Power.
Paddy's Punts on talkSPORT with Paddy Power. With Paddy's Super Sub, your new bet rolls over to the new player coming on. T's and C's and exclusions apply. 18 plus, begambleaware.org.
Yes, it is time for our bet builder with our friends at Paddy Power. We welcome Fern Buckley once again. We're going to look ahead to tomorrow's Premier League game, Crystal Palace versus Chelsea. Good afternoon, Fern.
Good afternoon, guys. Happy New Year to you both.
And to you, yes. I don't know if you caught it, Andy was just doing 10 squats for us.
How was it? Was it okay?
It wasn't bad. It was a slow start, but he got
into it. Yeah.
Once the blood got pumping around his little body, it got slightly better.
You got warmed up.
Yeah,
I did, yeah.
So, probably worth explaining briefly how the bet builder works, Fern.
Yeah, of course. Well, it's a combination of bets across different markets. We're going to choose our very own, all 5 of us. Paddy Power then put a £10 bet down. If we get it right, which hopefully we do, a good start to the new year, all the winnings go to the Attitude Foundation, who do brilliant work with the LGBT community.
I know it's not the point, because we all want to have a bit of fun, but I've often thought we're so bad at this that you'd be better off giving the Attitude Foundation £10 every week. They'd have made a lot more money. I know
you're probably right there.
Defeats the object, I know that, but
We've had a few wins, Andy. We've had a few. We've done it a few times. It's hard, it's to get 5 right. And often it's producer Rufus who comes out with something ridiculous, like Martians landing on the pitch in the 20th minute. He doesn't.
It is.
He doesn't.
Sorry, Rufus,
he
but
doesn't
it is.
help us with his outlandish predictions. We've been trying to rein him in a bit. So let's see how we get on today. I'll kick us off. My logic in this is, he's the man to stop, even though he's had a bit of a quiet Christmas. Cole Palmer is still the man to stop. Palace have got the players to stop him potentially. I've gone for Palmer to be fouled 2+ times in the game.
Yeah, like you said, he had a bit of a strange one this Christmas, especially against Ipswich, blanking in that game. But considering Palace is struggling a little bit defensively, Palmer could be parked up in the box, which could be putting him at the end of a couple of fouls. That's in at 1-2. He's a super sub as well. So for any reason he comes off, Paddy Power moves your bet over to whoever comes on for him.
OK, you've done a bit of reverse psychology, Andy, haven't you?
He did score a wonderful goal against Fulham, even though that was Chelsea's best moment. Yeah, I think Chelsea are just struggling at the moment. They've gone into a really strange phase. They've taken 1 point out of the last 9. This is a place where they can struggle, and the fans will be right up for it. And to get 3 away games out of the 4 that you get at Christmas, I think is tough. So I don't fancy them tomorrow, and I think Palace are going to win, I'm afraid.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I mean, although there was a draw in the last fixture with these two, Chelsea, they have won 12 out of the 15 games against Palace. But like you say, where they are right now, not a great festive season, losing to Ipswich, lost to Fulham, a draw against Everton, these kind of teams. It's just something's not working at the moment. So, yeah, Palace victory might be a fair shout. And those odds, they're at 13-5 on Paddy Power this afternoon.
Producer Rufus has said Mark Cucurella to emerge onto the pitch with a blonde rinse. No, he hasn't. He said Cucurella to be booked at any time.
I was going to say, I can't find that one on Paddy Power. Where's that in the section? Yeah, he's another super sub. He's been called out recently, isn't he, for people saying he plaques. He's had 8 yellows so far this season, 1 red. He gets a booking, guys, every 170 minutes. He didn't get one against Ipswich. He didn't get one against Fulham. So my calculations, it's about time. A booking for him is in at 21-10.
Yeah, he's a very good player. He doesn't need to do all that stuff.
I mean, I think he got that not Bert Troutman award. I mean, it does hurt when someone pulls your hair, but not quite as much as he made out.
Well, definitely win an Oscar, though.
Yeah, he certainly would. People's pick. This is the most popular bet amongst the Paddy Power punters on a bet builder. What have they gone with?
They've gone for Will Hughes to commit 1 or more foul. Again, similar lines with Cucurella. You can guarantee he's going to be in some kind of trouble. He's already committed 34 fouls in 17 games this season.
He's having a good season, and Palace have picked up recently.
There's been a few stories about them letting him go. I'd be really surprised.
I'd be surprised too.
Of course, like a dirty game, this, isn't it? We've got...
I know, we've been really kind of making it out to be a real scrappy game, but he has had 7 bookings in his appearances this season, including in the last head-to-head with these two. So for him to commit just 1 or more, that's all he's got to get is 1 more foul. And that's in at 1-8. He's another super sub as well.
And you've been a bit more positive, though. So what have you gone with?
I am. I've gone for Eberechi Eze to have 1 or more shots on target. He got on the score sheet against Southampton last week. He's had 16 shots in his last 6 matches for Palace. He averages a shot every 27 minutes, so hopefully he can get 1 on target. And that's in at 1-2. He's another super sub as well, once again.
Yeah, he scored in the game at the Bridge. It was a great goal,
actually. So if this all comes off, Fern, what are we looking at?
Nice amount of money you get. All in all, comes in at about 21.5 to 1. So from a £10 bet, you can get a return of £225. Ooh.
That would be
and that actually works quite nicely, 2025 to 225. If we get it right, which hopefully we do, the winnings go to the Attitude Foundation, who do wonderful work with the LGBT community.
Thank you, Fern. Have a good weekend.
See you later, guys.
There we are. There's Fern Buckley there, and that was Paddy Power's bet builder for today. Minimum odds 1-5 per leg. 18+. BeGambleAware.org.
Paddy Power on talkSPORT. With Paddy's Super Sub, your new bet rolls over to the new player coming on. T's and C's and exclusions apply. 18+. BeGambleAware.org.
We're going to look at the transfer market next. A few interesting stories on the back pages of the papers. We've been bringing you all of our updates here at talksport.com. So we'll take a look at some of the more interesting stories. Osimhen for Manchester United is very interesting.
Big wages, so they're going to have to shift somebody to bring him in.
Mickey Gray joining us to preview the Premier League weekend, sticking around for the Falls panel. Don't forget those clips of the week in the final hour. We're here with the Tool Station Club, the loyalty programme where you get 5% off every order. 18 plus, T's and C's apply.
talkSPORT traffic.
In Lincolnshire near Grantham, the A1 southbound is still closed after a collision shut between the A52 and the Grantham South turn-off. In Hertfordshire, 30 minutes of queues on the anti-clockwise M25 where two lanes are shut for repairs, approaching junction at 23 for the A1M. And in Cheshire, the M56 westbound is partly blocked for emergency repairs. They're between junction 11 for Preston Brook and junction 12 for Runcorn. I'm Adam Moore.
Monday night. Live Championship football on talkSPORT 2.
And it's gone straight in!
Triple filtered freeze-dried commentary. QPR versus Luton.
He's done it again!
Preemptive build-up as the bell strikes 7. Main event from 8 p.m.
A moment of magic!
Monday night on fan-fueled live football phenomenon.
talkSPORT 2.
Time to take a look at some of the transfer stories. And City have featured on the back pages of a few of the papers today. There's a feeling that they need to make up the squad a little bit more with the injuries they've had. Pep's just been talking about it in the press conference. He was asked about signings. He said, I don't know right now It won't be easy. Maybe we sign, maybe we won't sign anyone. The club has to be wise, not just sign a player just to do it, just to add players because of the situation we have with injuries. But I hope Ange Postecoglou, Daniel Levy weren't listening to that. Kwaku Afari has joined us in the studio. Hi, Kwaku.
Afternoon, guys. How are you getting on?
Not too bad. I mean, you sense they will do something. They've been linked today with Omar Mamouche, we were chatting about yesterday, I think, in relation to Arsenal, and the Atalanta midfielder Ederson, which would give them two Edersons in the same team.
Confusing.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, Pep Guardiola has been quite forthright, especially during City's torrid run, that they do need to do business and reinforce the squad. And most of the time, around this time of the year, managers distance themselves from moves in January, and then that happens towards the end of the window. But because Man City have struggled so much, Pep Guardiola has been quite vocal. He's not being specific in terms of the players they're going after, but that defensive midfield position is crucial. Obviously, Rodri out until the end of the season, maybe you might see him towards the back end of the season. And Ederson would represent value and represent a player that can fill the void of Rodri. It's been almost by committee in terms of filling that space that he's left when he went down with the ACL injury. And Ederson's a centre defensive midfielder that is physically strong and will be able to fit into a Premier League side straight away.
It's what they need. And Kyle Walker, he might go to Saudi. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised because he's got a lot of commitments.
I mean, it was interesting listening to Troy earlier on. They were talking. I mean, it has become this sort of thing of his legs have gone. It's a season too much. But I don't. It's a bit. I mean, you've got to look at it within the context of where City are at. The amount of work he's now being expected to do. That we now know Rodri hoovered up an awful lot of that.
I would agree to an extent, but we did see signs of it at the Euros for England in terms of him slowing down. And pace was a huge part of Kyle Walker, is a huge part of his game. And when you lose that yard or half yard of pace, it's very evident. And City have been poor this season. City players have been poor this season. But I think Kyle Walker, you can see that it's coming towards the end of his time at City, in and out of the side for various reasons. And I think if they want to get back to the level they were at last season or 2 seasons ago, that's a position in the field that they need to improve on. He's linked with a move to Al Nassr, of course, Cristiano Ronaldo's team, also linked with Al Ittihad, a number of teams in Saudi Arabia. And in the summer, he said never say never when asked about Saudi Arabia. So I can see that move happening. Whether it happens in January, it's difficult to manoeuvre those moves because it's such a difficult window to get deals over the line. But I think this may be Kyle Walker's last season at Manchester City.
They've been linked with Ola Aina from
Yeah, I mean, they're trying to... we had the
How many right backs did Chelsea sacrifice for Reece James? It's terrible, really.
We had a few Forest fans on yesterday saying let's time down to a new contract because he's been very good.
He's been very good.
If Kyle Walker does go to Saudi, he won't be playing with or against Marcus Rashford because the word is that he's turned down a couple of very big money offers because he still wants to play in a top league and hopefully get his England place back.
Yeah, he wants to play in the World Cup.
Yeah, and it makes sense. He's only 27 years old, and Ian Wright a couple of weeks ago leapt to his defence and said, I made the move to Arsenal when I was 27, 28 years old, and look at the career he had subsequent to that. So to say Marcus Rashford is finished and it's time for him to go to Saudi MLS, I think is a little bit premature. But it's difficult to find a landing spot. According to reports, Barcelona's his preferred move, but we know about the difficulties that club's having registering players they've already got. And so for Rashford, because of the wages he's on, because of the perception of it at the moment, it's difficult for him to find a landing spot. Whether he can find himself again at Manchester United, I think it'll be difficult, especially because of the public comments that he's made and the public comments that Amrim's made. But for Marcus Rashford, who does want to go to the World Cup next year, he has to find a place where he can play regular football. I don't think that's Manchester United, but when you survey the landscape of European football, I don't know what big club would take on the wages that he's on.
It's becoming a distraction for Amorim. I mean, some of it is self-inflicted because he did go sort of public on the situation. But again, he's asked today and he said he's not trained this week. He's ill. He won't be involved at
Always something, it seems like, Marcus Rashford at the moment.
But there's a question on him every week. So really, by the end, I'm sure he'll be pleased. And it's probably going to be better for the player and better for the manager to move him on, get it,
It's difficult though for those players that have come through the academy because fans live vicariously through them, and so there's an attachment. If Marcus Rashford was not from Manchester, he would not be a Manchester United player right now, based on his performances over the last couple of seasons. But because he is Marcus Rashford, because he does represent more than just a footballer to Manchester United, it's become a very, very difficult situation. Probably, in hindsight, the contract that Manchester United offered him after that really good season, the first season under Erik ten Hag, was a mistake because the wages mean that it's difficult for him to find a landing spot. And like I say, in January, I'm surprised that he came out with the comments and had the interview with Henry Winter where he said the things he said, because I don't know where he can really go.
Victor Osimhen has been mentioned, a potential move to Napoli for Marcus Rashford. Osimhen could potentially go to Manchester United. There's a lot of potential. Could go to Manchester United.
He's also on an absolute fortune.
Yeah, he's currently at Galatasaray. But
he's a big Chelsea fan. Do you remember the Nigerian captain told us that?
That's right.
Chelsea would love him, but they're not in the market for him, I don't think.
But yeah, I mean, that would be very good business for Amorim. They've been talking a lot about Gyökeres, haven't they, as well, who we had at Sporting. But Osimhen, I mean, I saw him play against Spurs recently. It wasn't a great Spurs team, but he scored a couple of goals and still looked very sharp.
Not to disrespect the Turkish league, but he's above that level.
Yeah.
And he's a player that he's in a sticky situation, similar to Marcus Rashford after signing the bumper contract. I say bumper contract. It's reported he's on between 150 and 200 grand a week, which is not the most.
Told Chelsea wanted 300 grand a week.
Yeah, I know.
Well, I suppose if you're coming to the Premier League, you see the pound signs, don't you?
He did speak to our colleague Tony Ofoke when we were out at AFCON last year, and spoke about his admiration of the league and his admiration of Didier Drogba, and like Andy mentioned, he's a big Chelsea fan. That move, I can't see materialising going to Chelsea. But there is a number of clubs in the Premier League that are after strikers. Arsenal, Manchester United. And if they can make that move happen, because he's currently a Galatasaray club that we feel like he will move on from, then I can see a number of teams trying to make that move happen. But similar to Marcus Rashford, it's the wages that are an issue, especially when the clubs are trying to adhere to PSR. When you've got these big profile players that do demand massive wages, to fit that into your wage bill is very, very difficult for some of the top
And you
clubs.
don't know what the nature of his loan deal is. I wonder if Galatasaray might have a deal to have him to the end of the season. We don't know if Napoli can call him back and sell him in January, whether the player wants that, you know.
Well, I was talking to Max, the Forest fan out there. He said the cheeky move to Nottingham Forest in January. You see Osimhen there at City Ground.
They're getting a bit carried away, aren't they?
He won't replace Chris Wood.
I think Marinakis can make that happen.
He'd have to fight for his place, wouldn't he?
I do think the way Forest are shaping up, I think we're going to have to get used to them being part of the top table argument.
Yeah, they've had a very, very good season. But I think for Forest, the key for them in January is to make sure that they sign Olayenda to that new contract, and just keep their players fit, because the way they're going, there's no reason why they can't finish in the top four.
I was sort of half joking earlier in the season when Chris Wood got on this run, and he's always been a really effective player. I said, if you stuck him up front for Real Madrid, he'd still be scoring loads of goals.
Get your double figures. Don't let the time at Newcastle fool you. He was second fiddle there and he wasn't a starter, but any time he's been a starter for a Premier League club, he'll give you at least between 10 to 12 Premier League goals. This season, of course, this is a bit of an outlier. He's flying, probably end up on anywhere between 15 to 20, but he's a player that, when provided the right service in the conventional system that plays to his strengths, will always give you goals.
And he's now being linked to sort of moves at pretty big European clubs and stuff, so that's exciting for him in his dotage, isn't it? What is he, about 33?
33.
He's not 37.
I thought he was 37.
33.
Sorry, Chris.
Sorry, Chris. Have his legs gone? So what else do we want to look at? Oh yeah, the Gyökeres story is another one where you think, is that going to happen in January? I know that it's all going off at Sporting at the moment post Amorim. It's a bit of a mess, and he might want out. But again, are they going to want to sell him in January?
That would require Amorim to renege on his word. When he first came into Manchester United, he said we won't raid Sporting in January. And I thought January was quite pointed. He didn't mention the summer, but if the Man United do go in for Gyökeres, that I think that speaks to the desperation of the club right now. They're in the bottom half of the table when we're in January right now, and
but it's not like they're creating a bucket load of chances and missing them. Their problems are in midfield.
Yes.
He's trying to play this 3-4-3 with two old blokes in the middle too. It's just not going to work.
Two old blokes.
And just finally, Craig, Evan Ferguson. I mean, it does seem odd that Brighton are prepared to let him. I mean, if he's going to be on loan or whether it's going to be a sale. I mean, he looked great. He's not been getting games. Herzler probably doesn't fancy him as much, but he still looks an effective player. Maybe Arsenal, they're saying, could be in the mix now. Fulham, West Ham, one or two other teams.
Talking to a few Arsenal fans out on the floor, and they were interested in the Evan Ferguson move. And it makes sense for us, a team that needs a striker in the short term, a striker that doesn't need to be guaranteed is going to be the main man, but has proven he can score goals in the Premier League. It's just incredible to see how far his stock has fallen. I remember a couple of years ago, people quoting 80 mil, 100 mil for Evan Ferguson. And it's not really worked out for him this season at Brighton. Danny Welbeck is, of course, the man they rely on for goals. But I think he needs a fresh start somewhere new. And again, I know everyone's been linked to Forest because they're doing so well, but I can see a move like that. Arsenal is a possibility.
West Ham, desperate.
West Ham.
It may be Forest to keep Osimhen and Chris Wood on their toes.
That's
right. All three of them fighting for the one place.
But I do like his profile. I like his physicality, and I like a couple of years ago when we saw him at his best. He's a player that looked like he was going to go on and push on to be a top player, and I think that player is still in there. Just maybe needs a new environment.
Yeah, he's had a lot of injuries.
Thanks, Quaker. Appreciate you coming in.
Cheers, guys. Take care.
Looking at the latest transfer market there at Quaker Afari. For all the latest transfer rumours and done deals, head over to the talkSPORT YouTube channel. You can watch the talkSPORT Transfer Notebook with Jim White and Alex Crook. Your new home for the January transfer window. So, yes, head over to talkSPORT's YouTube channel, first episode, or download as a podcast. Wherever you get your podcast. We're going to be chatting to Mickey Gray very shortly, fresh from Ruben Amorim's pre-Liverpool at the weekend press conference. And we'll look at some of the other big games this weekend and the Falls panel all to come.
Transfer window breaking news on talkSPORT with Intuit QuickBooks. Beat the deadline day drama with QuickBooks Sole Trader.
talkSPORT News.
Later on in the show, we'll be hearing from an array of Premier League gaffers. We've been chatting to the press today, updates on injuries. I can tell you, Spurs fans, there's no good news on that front. But Ruben Amorim has just been chatting to, amongst others, their own Mickey Gray. And Mickey will be joining us as we build up to the big game against Liverpool at the weekend. A Falls panel to come. But Sinead Garvin has the news headlines now.
Thank you. Good afternoon. The number of flu patients in England has quadrupled in the last month. It's feared the freezing conditions expected this weekend could put further strain on the NHS. Sarah Woolner from the health charity The King's Fund says staff shortages are a problem too.
If you look at NHS staff surveys over successive and recent years, there's a lot of talk about burnout, legacy of the pandemic, So you've got a tired health and care workforce going into winter.
Well, the Met Office has issued an amber weather alert for snow and ice in England and Wales, with forecasters warning of power cuts and travel disruption over the weekend. Meanwhile, police in Lincolnshire say they're looking at whether icy conditions caused a car crash which killed a 7-month-old boy. The car hit a tree on the A4 last night. 3 other people were injured. Elsewhere today, more than 100 firefighters involved in putting out the blaze at Grenfell Tower are now suffering from life-changing health problems. The Fire Brigades Union says the majority of those said they were unable to follow safety protocols at the time because of how bad the fire was. And the government's announced the first steps to creating a national adult social care service, but proposals won't even come out until 2028. An independent commission is being set up first. The government say it's to get an overall better view of how it should work.
Talk Sport with Bostik. If you need a professional grade sealant with high mold resistance, easy tooling and minimal shrinkage, choose Bostik Pro Sealants.
One more year for Harry Maguire at Old Trafford, and Villa loan Lewis Dobbin to Norwich for the rest of the season. Ben's back at 3.
Only one radio heavyweight brings you unbeatable, canvas-thumping coverage of the biggest bouts in world boxing. Talk Sport. Go the distance with unparalleled ringside commentary of the biggest boxing showdowns.
Unbelievable stuff at the Manchester Arena!
With 2 tough-talking boxing shows, Fight Night and Fight Night Extra.
The fight starts now!
Plus, get total knockout content on our world-class boxing podcasts and dedicated YouTube channel.
Swaggering, full of confidence.
Available now, and it's all for free. Talk Sport and Talk Sport 2, your home of boxing.
Our man in Manchester, the former Sunderland defender Mickey Gray, will be joining us in a couple of moments' time to look ahead to some of the interesting games this weekend. We've got the Falls panel to come, where we will be covering Tottenham, Newcastle, City versus West Ham and Fulham Ipswich. But let's hear from Ruben Amorim, who has been chatting to the press in the last hour or so. And he was asked if there were any contract updates with Ahmad and Harry Maguire.
Ahmad is near. Harry Maguire is going to trigger our option. I spoke with him this morning, and I told him that he has to improve his game on the pitch. We need him a lot. And also he needs to improve as a leader, because we all know the situation that he had here. But we need him a lot in this moment. So we are going to trigger happily the option for Harry.
The idea of telling people to improve, you tell me to improve, what difference would it make?
Well, I mean, I think I've been trying that for years, Andy. It's made absolutely no difference at all.
Harry, I want you to improve. Oh, okay, I will.
Yeah, well, I could do with some help, because essentially that's why you've been paid about 12 million quid a week. But interesting, because it's looked to me, from what I've seen of him, to be one of the better performers recently.
Yeah, I think so.
Mickey Gray joins us. He was in the room. Hi, Mick.
Paul, Andy, how are you doing?
Yeah, not so bad, thank you. So, yeah, I mean, what have you made of Maguire recently?
I think he's not showed great form, has he? I think he's one of those type of players that needs to play week in, week out to keep himself fully fit. You can only do so much in training. I think the room itself today in the press conference was a little bit surprised when they said they triggered that 1-year extension on Harry Maguire's his contract. Because I think we were waiting for Ruben Amorim to maybe turn around and say that, there's going to be a lot of changes in January. I know they can't do a lot because of FFP, but certainly one of the players that we didn't expect to be exercising that extra year, let's say.
Yeah, well, because it was slightly damning with faint praise. Yeah, we're going to trigger that. I wonder if he's done it with his arm up his back. The upstairs have said they'd quite like to trigger it. But he's got to get better, he's got to improve, and he's got to be more of a leader, they've been saying. What did you make of that?
Yeah, he talked about a lot of the experienced players today, Paul, about stepping up to the plate, really, because we've seen that first 30 minutes against Newcastle, and the experienced players definitely didn't step up to the plate then. This was he made the changes, the early changes. No, it was a young lad who went off in Xerxes and Kobe Mainoo come on. But I think the performances of Man United over the last 2.5 to 3 seasons have just not been up to the scratch that they need to be to maybe start to push towards that top 4. And we all know what predicament they find themselves at the moment. We're talking about relegation rather than finishing in the top 4 or even top 6 or 7. It's going to be a It's going to be a slog and a suffer for those United players as well as the supporters.
Yeah, let's hear what he said, Mickey, about stepping up and being leaders, these senior players.
If you want to be a top team, you have to be leaders, and we have that in the dressing room. But they have to step up, because we have a lot of young kids also, and this moment is really hard, because you can look at the table, but you are still Manchester United. So this gap and this pressure of a big club in a really low moment is really hard to cope. So we need the guys that more experienced to help the others.
Mickey, why do you think it's got worse under Amorim than it was under Ten Hag? I mean, they got rid of Ten Hag for a reason, but it just hasn't worked, has it?
Well, I think the big reason is, Andy, I mean, it doesn't matter who you've got in charge of Manchester United at the moment. I think there's players at that club who've maybe overstayed their welcome over the last 2 or 3 seasons, who in my eyes shouldn't really be there. You've got to move with the times. You see what the top sides do. They freshen things up, and experienced players have maybe run out of steam. You see the legs. Everybody talks about your legs going, look, this is why, we retire at the end of our careers, because when you get into your mid-30s, let's say, or even into your 31, 32 years old, it becomes more difficult. We've all been in that position as ex-footballers, and I think you saw that first 30 minutes at Newcastle, and if you haven't got energy and you haven't got that power and dynamism that players need now, then you get caught out and people catch you up and they overtake you, and that's just where Manchester United find themselves at the moment. Every manager that walks through the door seems to be picking up the pieces, and it's just got into a state at the moment where it's untenable, to be honest with you, because they need to go out and spend another £250 million, which they're not able to do. Players need to leave the club, but if they're on 2 or 3 year contracts, they're not going to go anywhere. They're going to see out their contracts unless the clubs pay them up.
I wonder if he's having any regrets, Mickey. I mean, there's been quite a few jobs he's been offered over the years, and he's always back to where he even, to be honest, said, ideally, I wanted to see the season out with Sporting, but they told me if I wanted the job, I had to come now. Maybe he wanted to see the season out so he could start afresh in the summer and have a window to rebuild the team, because he could see what he was walking into.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Paul. I mean, he actually said in his interview, I think it was a bit tongue-in-cheek. He basically turned around and said, look, if I don't get it right here, then I know I'll walk away. He's changed this system. I'm not quite sure if it's working for Manchester United. Every club has a DNA, don't they? And Man United have always had a flat back forward, 2 quick wingers and centre forwards who've always scored goals for them. But over the last decade, unfortunately, that's not happened for them. You can point your finger at whoever you want to at the club. Is it people who brought the players into the club have not really done their due diligence? They've not recruited well. I think we all know that. But the big problem is, and you two guys will know this, Andy and Paul, at Chelsea and Tottenham, when players are not playing well, it's a very difficult place. And I'm talking just about playing in front of your home fans now. Well, they're going to have to play in front of 74,000 people week in, week out. And when you're not playing well, there's a lot of those individual players start hiding and make mistakes. They don't want to be the one who makes that error. And it just makes you play worse. And I think that's what's happening at Manchester United. And how they're going to turn this around is going to take a long, long time.
It'd be interesting to see what happens on Sunday. If they do get a thrashing, we don't know what's going to happen, but if they do, you'd imagine that might galvanise their transfer plans a bit. I know they're a bit limited to what they can do, but you think that would force them into the market?
Yeah, well, they're going to have to do something, Andy. I mean, was this talk about bringing in a couple of centre forwards, isn't there, in January? But does that mean that players are going to have to walk out of the door? I mean, there's been a lot of speculation about Marcus Rashford, hasn't there? Is he going to be a part of Manchester United moving forward? Which was my question to him today, actually. He didn't play for 4 games. Then he was on the bench, an unused sub. They bring on Anthony before him. So I think it just shows the state of play at Manchester United. When we're going into this January window, which we're in now, where's Marcus's head at? Even when he does start playing, I know he's a local lad, but he's just not so deformed that anybody wanted to see from Marcus, certainly over the last couple of seasons. And you can't rely on people like that, to give you 65 to 70%. Man United need everybody on the same page, giving you 100%, and Marcus has not done it.
And just a quick one on Bruno. You did kind of feel like Bruno was very excited when Amorim came in, and you kind of felt he was going to be his eyes and ears on the pitch. And he's one of those senior players and one of those players that, they look to in sort of tough times. So what have you made of him so far under Amorim, Mickey?
Yeah, I think he's been okay. I think he struggled, didn't he, in the previous manager under Ten Hag. Just before he lost his job, he wasn't scoring goals at the beginning of the season. He wasn't creating any assists. But I think since Amarin walked through the door, he's been given a little bit more freedom, which I think he likes because he's that type of player. He started to score goals and he started to assist, but he can't do it on his own. And he's not one who you can kind of turn around and say, oh, well, look, he hasn't made mistakes himself, because he has. He's not performed like the Bruno Fernandes did, the player who walked through the door when he first came to Manchester United. He needs help. He needs help from the experienced players. Amad Diallo's probably came into the side at Manchester United and maybe played more than maybe people expected. He's probably been their best player. So they're relying on 19 and 20-year-olds to get them out of the mess that they find themselves in. But if you're not scoring enough goals and you're not keeping clean sheets, then you start dropping down that table, and that's exactly what Man United are doing.
Yeah, Nana's had a lot of criticism as well from the fans, I think. They're not happy with him.
Well, we're going to be looking at the game between Tottenham and Chelsea, Manchester City and West Ham, and Fulham Ipswich.
Tottenham and Newcastle.
Oh, sorry, what did I say?
Tottenham Chelsea.
Tottenham Chelsea. Oh, blimey, not again. I can't take that again. Tottenham versus Tottenham Newcastle, not much better. Tottenham Newcastle, City West Ham, and Fulham Ipswich. They're the games we're covering in the Falls panel. Mickey's sticking around for that. And we'll be joined by a talkSPORT listener. I think Ollie Klink's going to pop in to be our commentator this afternoon. There he is, indeed. So that's all coming up. We're here with our very good friends at Toolstation. The brand new loyalty programme gets you 5% of every order. 18 plus T's and C's apply.
talkSPORT traffic.
In Lincolnshire, the A1 is still shut southbound near Grantham after a collision earlier. It's closed from the A52 along to the Grantham South turn-off. In Hertfordshire, delays on the anti-clockwise M25. 2 lanes are shut there just before junction 23 for the A1M. That's for repairs. And in Northamptonshire, the M1 southbound is partly blocked by a breakdown. It's between junction 15 at Northampton and 14 for Milton Keynes. I'm Adam Moore.
tomorrow. Game day is go.
A goal to savour!
Exclusive full match commentary of Spurs versus Newcastle.
Coverage from 11, kick-off 12:30 on talkSPORT.
Time then for the Falls panel. At that point in the game, we look at 3 big games, 2 of which you'll hear on talkSPORT this weekend, and try and predict the scores. If we get them absolutely right, we'll get 3 points in the Falls panel league table. We'll get 1 point for getting the outcome right, and of course nothing for getting it wrong. Stan Collymore normally joins us for this section, as he did the previous section. Stan's had a little bit of a family issue that's come up, so we do wish Stan and his family well this afternoon. Hopefully be back with us next week. But Mickey Gray has very kindly stepped into the breach. He's representing the pros. Ollie Klink for the commentators. Let's look at where they are in the table. Indeed, the commentators, bottom of the table. Philbert the Fox, Jeff Peters, Neil Poir for him, last week. So they stay rooted to the bottom on 28. Stan, Mickey today, 32, the pros. I got 1 point, did Stan. I had a bit of a mare. I did a Jeff Peters, no points for me either. I'm on 35. Andy Jacobs got 2, which takes him into second place.
I'm flying.
Creeping up the table, doing a forest. And the listeners are still top. Well done to them. Congratulations to the talkSPORT listeners. Still top of the tree after the last Falls panel of the season. We should give credit to the person who was in that situation. I haven't put it then. Christmas Eve show. Apparently, it was all the listeners collectively. They still stay top. So let's say hello to our listener this afternoon, who's John, the Spurs fan. Hello, John.
Hello, Paul. Hello, Andy, and everyone. Happy New Year to you.
Indeed, Happy New Year to you. But you looking forward to tomorrow, John?
Do you know what, Paul? I mean, I'm 50 odd years old now, and nothing surprises me with Spurs anymore. Nothing anymore. It's one of them ones. Think to yourself, well, I don't really fancy this as much, and then they'll go out and play their boots off.
Well,
it's I can only pray.
You never know. You never know. So we're going to get underway then. Ollie, good afternoon, Ollie. Sorry, I should have said I introduced you there.
How are you doing? You okay?
Yeah, we're good, thank you. Mickey has stuck around, as we said. So let's get underway. John, you're going to lead us off. It is our lunchtime game day, our kick-off game for game day. It is Tottenham versus Newcastle at the Lane. How do you see it going?
Well, everyone, I think everyone there is going to be expecting a Newcastle win. I'm not expecting a Spurs win. I'm going to go for a Desmond. I'm going for a 2-2.
You've gone 2-2. Well, okay. Yeah. Andy.
Yeah, I mean, Spurs have still got their attacking force, so you expect them to score. And
well, I don't know if they've been ill or not. Apparently, there's been a bit like Arsenal, where there's been a bit of an illness which has stopped players training. So I don't know who's ill and who isn't. Hopefully, it's not Kulusevski and Solanke.
That's true. Newcastle are flying though, and it's hard to see anything but a Newcastle win. I don't think it'd be about a lot. I'm going 2-1 to Newcastle.
2-1 to Newcastle. One of my biggest fears is that one of the sort of pinch points for Tottenham that teams always exploit is the ball in behind Pedro Porro on our right channel. And
it's only Anthony Gordon.
It's only Anthony Gordon who's not up to much, of course. So I can't see that being an issue. And they've only got Isak in the middle to finish things off with our 2 makeshift centre halves. So I tell you, I'm going to go mad. I'm going to go for an absolutely potty 3-3 draw. I can't bet against my boys. Mickey, what do you think?
I'm not far away from you, Paul. I think it's going to be a bit of a goal fest this game. You mentioned there Tottenham are struggling at the back with defenders missing, and the way that Newcastle have been attacking over the last few weeks, I think you can only see goals, but I do see both sides scoring. I've gone for an away win, which you won't be happy about, Paul. Sorry about that, but I've gone Tottenham 2, Newcastle 3.
Yeah, well, everybody's expecting goals. Ollie, what about you?
Well, with Newcastle being my team, it's the Hawksbee Klink derby, which no one is billing it as.
I mean, Tottenham.
I can hear that Geordie accent of yours. Tremendous.
We should have beaten you.
It's like Jimmy Nail.
We should have beaten you at St James's Park earlier in the season. We're just all over you. But I mean, I'm hoping
Newcastle weren't playing well at the start.
No, they weren't. Well, I'm hoping we'll have the reverse of that tomorrow. So it seems unlikely.
Do you know what? I know Tottenham are good and they've scored so many goals, but actually Newcastle have been really solid at the back as well. They've kept a lot of clean sheets. So I'm actually going to go for a 2-0 win for Newcastle.
Okay. Right. You're not coming back again. So, talkSPORT listeners.
You are if you get it wrong.
talkSPORT listeners
doing it every week.
home in the car.
I'm living up to Jeff Peters. I think.
Yeah, indeed.
Exactly.
On then to that's live on talkSPORT 12:30 tomorrow. talkSPORT 2 exclusively live, not on the telly, of course. 3:00 kickoff. Manchester City versus West Ham. Resurgent Manchester City, we can call it. What do you think, John, the Spurs fan?
Well, first off, I've gone right off Mickey Gray and Ollie Klink. You know what? It's took its time, or it's taken its time, and I think now with blowing out for West Ham, they haven't got that threat.
No.
And if they do, I mean, if Kudus maybe has a chance, maybe he might put one away. But I really think that Man City are going to sort of say, right, we've had our blip, here we go. I'm fancy a 4-1 to Man City.
Big 4-1. Andy?
Yeah, I mean, it's played out nicely for City, really. I mean, they had Leicester at home last week, easy game. West Ham in the right state, no Burnley, he's their best player. Can't see anything but a Manchester City win. They often beat West Ham quite easily. I'm going 3-0.
I'm kind of in between the two of you. I can see West Ham scoring because they haven't been stunning at the back, and they've got a few players that can pop up and score goals. But I do fancy City pretty comfortably. 3-1 City. Mickey Gray's our pro in for Stan. What do you think, Mick?
Yeah, just listening to you guys there, I think Jarrod Bowen's going to be a huge miss for West Ham, just his energy levels and what he brings to West Ham. And they've not got a fantastic record, as any side, I have to say, at the Etihad. I know City haven't been playing well lately. They kind of didn't perform pretty well against Leicester, but they got over the line. I think that's what it's all about at the moment. I do see both sides scoring this game, but I think it'll be a tight encounter. I've gone City to win 2-1.
2-1.
I'm at the game as well, so I'm looking forward to that one.
Oh, nice one, yeah. It should be an interesting match. What about you, Ollie?
Yeah, I think Man City's win over Leicester's just going to give them a bit of confidence when you get that first 3 points again after a bad run. So I actually think they'll win this one 2-0. 2-0,
OK. talkSPORT listeners home in the car, on the tractor, Cowpack Chris, there we are. Next up then, Sunday afternoon, updates in the Sunday session, the Andy Jacobs beaten Chelsea derby. It is Fulham v Ipswich. And John, the Spurs fan, what do you think?
Oh, wow. Another one of them tricky games. You don't know what Ipswich have really been coming into themselves lately. I do see this again as a draw. I think this could be a 1-1 draw.
1-1, OK. So fresh from their first victory at home, Andy. How do you see this going for Ipswich?
Well, they used up 2 seasons worth of luck on Monday.
So bitter.
Against Chelsea, no question about it.
So bitter.
Sporniest win in Premier League history. And come on, Fulham. 2-0, I hope.
For a Chelsea fan to say, come on, Fulham.
Oh, no, I'll be right behind that. Honestly, every goal that goes in, I'll be cheering.
I see Fulham winning this. I mean, that was a good performance by Ipswich. Can they build on it? They have moments in games all the time.
Good performance, really.
Yeah, I'm going to go Fulham 3-1. Sorry, Ipswich fans. Yeah, I quite fancy him. No, it's not. Yeah, okay. Yes, it was my go. What do you think, Mickey?
I can't look away from Fulham. I know Ipswich are coming off the back of a great result themselves. Their away form isn't fantastic. But the reliance on Liam Delap is pretty huge for Ipswich. I know he's got himself back into the starting 11 after a little bit of a knock, but I just think Fulham at home, I know they're not winning a lot of games, but they're not losing. They've drawn quite a few. Raul Jimenez has got himself back on form. He looks like the player that we saw before his horrific injury, doesn't he? I mean, he scored that wonderful headed goal last time out. And I think Marco Silva's doing a fantastic job. Not to say that Kieran McKenna's not at Ipswich, but I think winning back-to-back games in the Premier League when you're at the bottom of the table is pretty hard to do. And I think this is one step too far for Ipswich, unfortunately. So I've gone Fulham to win 2-0.
2-0.
United will be panicking if Ipswich do win.
And
they get
they're not the only ones. Ollie, what about this one?
Yeah, I think despite Ipswich's stunning win over Chelsea, they're absolutely superb, of course. I think Fulham will have too much at home. I'm going to copy you here, Paul, and go for 3-1 Fulham.
3-1 Fulham, OK. Mickey, I see you're going back up to the northeast. Sunderland Pompey you're doing for us on Sunday, is that right?
I am indeed, yeah. Looking forward to that one, Paul. I was up there on New Year's Day when they played Sheffield United, and for 45 minutes, what a brilliant game. I mean, they're surprising a lot of people. They're a really young team. They've got some outstanding players. I think Joe Bellingham seems to be the player that everybody wants to talk about because of his brother. And he is a wonderful talent. I know there's a lot of clubs, European clubs, that are looking out for him, one of them being Borussia Dortmund. So I just hope that we can keep hold of him. We're scoring goals with Isidore up front, who's on loan from Zenit St. Petersburg. I'm sure that there's a lot of Premier League sides they'll be looking at him maybe to take him because he's an outstanding talent. He's kind of a little bit like Alexander Isak. I'm not saying he's that level, but he's a similar type of player and he gets goals. But there's a lot more than that, and they're doing really well. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, we can pick up 3 points in that game as well.
Sunderland fans will thank you for that. It's all the scouts descending on the stadium alike to watch the new Alexander Isak. Good to talk to you, Mickey. Appreciate you stepping in. Thanks ever so much.
Cheers. Thanks, fellas.
Take care. See you soon. Mickey Gray back with you Sunday afternoon. You may spot him at the Etihad tomorrow. Thank you, Ollie. Thanks for popping in.
Thanks very much.
Doing
thanks,
that for
guys.
us. Our commentator, Ollie Kling. Thank you, John. Enjoy the game tomorrow. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Paul, and congratulations, you and Andy. 25 years this year. I've been an avid viewer of yours, an avid listener, rather. And thanks very much for all the great laughs.
Oh,
that's very kind of you, John. Thanks very much. Yep, somehow still getting away with it. 25 years. Thank you, John. Still to come, clips of the week. They've been here for about 23 of them or so.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We'll bring you probably longer. Yeah, we'll bring you those. Todd Macklin's going to join us. And all manner of other stuff. We'll hear from some of the gaffers ahead of the weekend's games after the sports headlines at 3.
Talk Sport.
With the Lookers Big Event. Thousands of vehicles offering exceptional value, ready to drive away. Visit lookers.co.uk.
Yeah, we're hearing from the managers in the next hour, the Falls Panel Clips of the Week, and we'll chat to a Dutch journalist and pal of Michael van Gerwen's, ahead of tonight's darts final, of course, from Alexander Palace. And you'll hear that live on talkSPORT from 7 with all the build-up before. Live from Ali Pally with Andy Goldstein and Darren Bent. But let's get the sports headlines now with Ben Fletcher.
Good afternoon. Ruben Amorim says United are exercising their option to extend Harry Maguire's contract by 1 year.
I think he coped very well with these struggles. And when you look our team, we are starving for leaders on the pitch. So he's a leader. He has to improve that part. He has to improve his game. So we are happy to continue with Harry.
Amorim says Amad Diallo is close to agreeing a new deal. talkSPORT understands Napoli are showing an interest in Marcus Rashford. United would likely have to heavily subsidise his wages, with Victor Osimhen on offer as a sweetener. We've also heard Juventus are interested in signing Joshua Zirkzee. United go to Liverpool on Sunday. The weekend of live action gets underway with Tottenham hosting Newcastle. Destiny Udoghi's the latest player ruled out. The Italian will miss 6 weeks with a hamstring injury. Ange Postecoglou says the club are hoping to bolster their numbers this month.
January's not an easy month. We understand that. It's not an easy time to sort of bring people in particularly quickly, and at the same time we still want to make sure we do what we think's the best thing for us, rather than sort of just panic and sort of bring in people who aren't going to be a suitable fit.
Spurs Newcastle's are live and exclusive commentary on talkSPORT. Kickoffs at 12:30 tomorrow. And to Ali Pally, where Russ Brays told talkSPORT we can expect what could be the best ever World Darts final.
Both the boys have hit form at the right time as well. Littler's his 180s and his scoring ability is immense. And Van Gerwen is doing exactly the same now. He's getting into that mindset.
Luke Littler v Michael Van Gerwen is live on talkSPORT. Our coverage gets underway at 7.
talkSPORT News.
Snow and ice are expected across the UK this week, with forecasters warning to expect travel disruption. And a 7-month-old boy has died in a crash on the A1. More from Sinead at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. This winter, fitting new tyres is much easier than you think, at home or work, with our mobile tyre fitting service. QuickFit. Drive away happy every time.
Snow only really affecting coastal areas at the moment. Staying cold this afternoon with plenty of wintry sunshine.
On 1089 and 1053 medium wave, on DAB, online and on your smart speaker. Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs on talkSPORT.
Good afternoon, Paul Hawksbee Andy Jacobs here on talkSPORT. Tom Macklin joins us once again. We'll look at some weird, wonderful stories from the world of American sport, including 2 boozers heading to college. We'll tell you more about that later. And we'll bring you some clips of the week as well. Plus a bit of more darts in the build-up. Don't forget, as we said, 4 o'clock live from Alexander Palace, head of the World Championship final, Andy Goldstein. Darren Bent chatting with the players and everybody out and about at Ali Pally, head of a big night of darts, which is live on talkSPORT from 7, the whole game for you. But before all of that, we have a little roundup of what the managers have been saying ahead of the weekend's big games in the Premier League. And we'll kick off ahead of the game against Manchester United with Liverpool's Arne Slot. He was talking about the out-of-contract players, specifically Trent Alexander-Arnold. There's a lot of stories, of course, that Real Madrid cover him and would potentially like to get him in January, but that looks difficult, but certainly as a free agent in the summer. And Slot was speaking today ahead of the game against United and was asked whether the interest from Madrid is destabilising Trent.
If it would destabilise players at Liverpool, if other people talk about them, then we would really have a problem, because if you play at one of the biggest clubs in the world, everybody always for 12 months long is talking about you. Sometimes in relation to other clubs. That happens so many times for our players, that if that destabilizes them, then we really would have had a problem, not only now, but in the past 6 months, because I think there were some talks about our players also in the last 6 months, and I don't think that they destabilized them at all.
No, he's right. It won't affect him.
No, I mean he's in a great position. He either gets a fantastic new contract and stays at Liverpool, or he gets an equally great contract and goes to Madrid.
You get the sense that he quite fancies a move.
That it's just a bit of a lifestyle change.
And but I can't wait for Salah to sign a new contract, then he'll be rubbish again. Well, not again. But go back.
When was he rubbish?
Not rubbish, but
like he was at Chelsea.
No, he wasn't even rubbish there. Actually, no, he won't be. That's the wrong word. Completely the wrong word. But do you know what I mean? He's definitely playing for a new deal. Or
it might be worth just revisiting that briefly through your eyes. You were there when he was playing at Chelsea.
Tried too hard.
What happened then?
That's it. He just desperate. He desperately wanted to play. Desperately wanted to impress Mourinho.
Yeah.
And I think he just tried too hard, and they had players, and Mourinho couldn't accommodate him. Same with De Bruyne.
Yeah.
De Bruyne was an odd one though, because he played him as a left winger, and he struggled a bit. And then he played really, really well, and then he took him off in a game, and then he never played him again. That was it, and he'd gone.
Wow.
Shame.
You rue the day, though, I guess.
You got to, haven't you? Two great world-class players.
Yeah.
That's the way it goes.
Well, let's hear from Pep Guardiola. They welcome West Ham to Manchester City. They probably do with the injuries they have at the moment. Pretty key ones at West Ham. Yes, they want to try and get their season back on track, fresh from a win. He said today that there's not been any progression with Kevin De Bruyne, we're just discussing there, his contract extension.
It's not my business. Always we want. He had problems in the last I would say year and a half. Like this year, many players. But of course, when he's consistent and fit and he can play regularly, I said many times, he's a really important player for us, decisive player. But it's going to happen for the club, for how he's going to perform until the end of the season, the age that he has, and many things. I think the club has to think about it.
Yeah. It's always difficult.
He's going.
Yeah.
Well, you just know, don't you, from that?
Like he says, when he's fit and firing, he's an important player, but he's spending an awful lot of time injured. And I think all fans can relate to that. When you've got a player, we've got it with Richarlison, who stuck around last year when potentially he could have gone, and he's barely kicked a ball this season, really, because he's injured most of the time. So you have to start to question whether they should stay. Anyway, Chelsea. Let's hear from Enzo Maresca. They want to bounce back, it says here, from the loss to Ipswich. They head to Selhurst Park. Not an easy place to go. Always definitely a good atmosphere. Have got some players in form of Palace. And Maresca was talking today about a pretty key injury to a key player, centre-back Wesley Fofana.
Unfortunately, could be out for the season, yeah. So we don't know exactly if for the entire season, but unfortunately, he could be out for part of the season. And we are together here since we start, and every time you ask me about Wes, I said many times that I'm in love with Wes. I was in love with Wes. We are trying to find different solution, but for sure, for us, Wes is a huge loss.
Is that hamstring as well, Andy?
Yeah, hamstrings. It didn't look that bad when it happened, and it's very frustrating because he was playing really well. Him and Colwell were playing really well, but that's the breaks. That's what happens.
Yeah, I mean, it just seemed. I mean, we've got the same with Wilson Odebear. I think we'll be lucky to see before the end of the season. I mean, Postecoglou said at the time, it's as bad as a hamstring injury can get, and you are finding players are out. I mean, they've always been out with hamstrings, but you expect the sort of 6 weeks. But we're seeing players missing.
I think
months
Chelsea
and
will buy a
months.
centre half in the summer, definitely.
Yeah, we'll see. Manchester United boss Ruben Amorim faces his toughest task yet. They go to Anfield, of course, to take on league leaders Liverpool on Sunday. And he said today, do not write my team off.
Because in football, one game, anything can happen. If you talk about the season, almost every time the best win. But in the moment they are better than us. But we can win any game. But we have to focus not on the context, but on the performance. What we have to do, simple things. And I think we need to improve the simple things to play these kind of games. And we have the responsibility to play to win a game.
It's the most optimistic view this season.
You've got to be, haven't you? Can't.
I suppose so, yeah.
I mean, he's not going to say tin hats on, lads. It's going to get messy.
No chance.
And, Arne Slot, he's got to go to Fortress White Hart Lane on Wednesday in the Carabao Cup. He may be resting players.
He won't
for
be.
the full onslaught. I'll be there. I've got my ticket.
That is I would imagine it's Liverpool's least priority. They want to win the title. They want to win the Champions League. So
yeah.
course, they
Well,
want to win it. They want to win everything they're in. But
I would advise Arne Slot certainly just to back off slightly in those League Cup.
He will make changes, definitely.
Games. Let's see
but as we saw last year in the
I
final.
want to see David Fairclough coming off the bench on Wednesday.
Liverpool got some good young players as well.
They have
a lot of depth.
That's true. Anyway, just some of the comments from the gaffers. There'll be more throughout the day here on Talk Sport. We're going to chat to Todd Macklin very shortly. Look at some interesting tales from the world of American sport. It's hard to avoid the great LeBron James. He's been in the news again this week.
Yeah.
As is his son. No, not Bronny, his youngest boy, who is a pretty decent basketball player, not a massive.
Sid.
Yeah, Sid. Sid James. Wouldn't it be great if he'd done that?
He should have done that.
But not knowingly.
No.
So he just called their youngest lad Sydney. and then somebody, a bit of a British journalist you do realise, star of the Carry On films, getting the 1,000-yard stare from LeBron James. That would be great. Yeah.
Tremendous.
Just going through the films. Carry On Henry? No, never heard of that one. Carry On at Your Convenience? No, never. The one with the budgie.
Carry On Camping.
Carry On.
We just switched it on with Channel.
You were watching it
there. Just before that famous scene with Barbara Windsor.
Okay.
It is a good
you
scene.
didn't time it right, clearly, did you?
Well, no, it wasn't.
Yeah. So, anyway, his son's not called Sid. We will find out what he is called, and what school he's going to, and how a couple of boozers, not Alan and Ray, fit into that particular equation. That's all coming up. We're here with our very good friends at the Tool Station Club, the loyalty program that gets you 5% of every order. 18 plus T's and C's apply.
talkSPORT traffic.
In Warwickshire, the M40 southbound is blocked by a vehicle on fire. It's just by junction 16 for Henley in Arden, with queues back to the M42. In Hertfordshire, 40 minutes of queues on the M25 anti-clockwise, but 2 lanes are shut for repairs before junction 23 for the A1M. And in Oxfordshire, the M40 is partly blocked southbound after a breakdown between Tame at junction 7 and Watlington at junction 6. I'm Adam Moore.
Next hour, Mirror, Signal, Sports Power Foot Journey Home. Don't miss Drive. Next from 4 on talkSPORT.
Time once again to look at some of the big stories from the world of American sport in the company of our man Todd Macklin. Good afternoon, Todd.
Hi, boys. Happy New Year.
Yeah,
this is the first time we're talking in 2025, so I feel confident we can say Happy New Year.
Yeah, you've made the cut-off, Todd.
Well done, Todd.
Yeah, that's right. Because people get very annoyed about saying Happy New Year if it gets... But we're not like that. We're cool with it. On a serious note, before we get into some of the other stories, like the terrible events in New Orleans this week, as everybody heard, there was a game of football cancelled, the Sugar Bowl, which was taking place... due to take that place that night and was postponed. It did take place last night, thankfully without incident, didn't it, Todd?
It did, yeah. It just horrible scenes in the early hours of New Orleans where it took place. And listen, there's no right or kind of time to play the game, but it had to be played. And incredibly somber. It just not the celebratory that the game should have been. But listen, it went on. University of Notre Dame won the game. They move on to the national championship semifinal.
Yeah. Now we're going to talk about LeBron James, as we often have in this slot over the years. He became the first player in NBA history to play as a teenager and pass the age of 40. He says that he feels if he wanted to, he'd have another 5 to 7 years in him. He said, I'm not going to.
He's amazing.
But he does feel as fit as ever, he says. And again, he had a good night last night. He scored, was it 38 points or whatever he looked?
38.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, without Anthony Davis for the Lakers, obviously it falls on LeBron to carry the team. And you're right, like 38 points last night in a win. Now they're supposed to play again tonight. So that'll be the question, right? Is he going to be able to play back-to-back? He's missed some time recently. But again, I think, we talked a while ago when the Lakers were in real spot of bother, but now they've won 6 of 8. Kind of the things are right again for the Lakers. And listen, any chance that they have to compete for a championship, but I'm not sure they're at that level. But it's going to be LeBron is going to be the guy that carries this team to any sort of success they have this year.
Now, their kind of careers have been linked in more recent years, but Steph Curry obviously had to set a record of his own yesterday, having seen LeBron do it. He made all 8 of his 3-point attempts, which in itself wasn't a record. But the record was the first person in league history to go at least 8 for 8 on 3-pointers and reach double-digit assists in the same game.
Michael Jordan won't be happy about it, though.
No, probably not.
No, he's had enough of 3 points, hasn't he?
Yes.
Talked about this.
It is, and it's so funny. You guys have kind of alluded to what has probably been the biggest talking point of the NBA over the last few months, and that's the 3-pointers. And people are kind of saying, hey, ratings are down in the NBA, and people are saying because there's too many 3-pointers in the game that it's just not as fun. I'll take you to the Celtics game last night. I think the Celtics took over, I think it was 54 3-pointers in the game last night that the Celtics beat the T-Wolves. And people are drawing that correlation. Too many three-pointers, not enough action going around. Just, it's just not exciting seeing guys hoist up three-pointers. So it really is something to kind of, look at the rest of the regular season with the league and what happens with ratings and that sort of thing. But it is the talking point with the league that and that kind of the older generation is saying the three-pointer is kind of ruining the NBA at the moment. So listen, something we'll have to watch.
What could they do about it? They could move the line back, but would that make any difference?
I don't think so. And Andy, that's exactly what people have talked about. Could they move it? Could they move the line back? Could they add a 4-pointer or whatever, right? Like, could they try something like that? It's very difficult. It's difficult. But listen, at least I know that Adam Silver, the commissioner, has said, hey, we're looking at things. We're looking at, listen, you have to, he's acknowledged it. He's saying, hey, our ratings are down. We're going to have to find out why that is. And listen, I'm sure it's not just the three-pointer and the way the game is. I'm sure there's other factors, but at least they're acknowledging that they got to look at it.
Maybe they could make an inside basket 3 points. If they made both shots 3 points, that might help.
Yeah, like a dunk. Maybe you get extra points for a spectacular dunk or something like that. Yeah, listen, I think with any great businesses, you have to learn to adapt. And it seems like, and again, we're talking about this year ratings being down. So I don't think you want to jump right away. I think you want to make sure that is the issue. And as I said, I think there's a lot of different factors.
Maybe it's only 3 points if you got your back to the hoop and you throw it over the head like those guys in the halftime show to try and win $100,000. Yeah, give that a go. Now, another way to get people watching is the Sons of the Greats. And we've talked a lot about Bronny James, who's played with his dad for the Lakers and is now sort of working his way back through the affiliate team. Bryce, sadly not Sid, as Andy predicted, not Sid James, the youngest son, but Bryce James, who's chosen the University of Arizona to play his college basketball. Do we know much about him and how good he is, Todd?
I've heard that the talk is that he's probably better than his older brother, physically bigger than his older brother. But again, you're only talking about high school, and that's what he's playing at. So it's hard to say, right? But he's going to go to Arizona, and whether he just goes for the 1 year, I guess we'll see. But it's great for college basketball, right? Because you've got another James, you've got Carmelo Anthony's son.
Yeah.
You've got Carlos Boozer's twins.
Yeah.
So it gives a kind of an uptick in interest for college basketball, no question.
Yeah, twin Boozers. So that was amazing. Cameron and Caden are the Boozer twins, son of the old Jazz player Carlos, and also Jermaine O'Neal Jr., son of former Pacers centre Jermaine O'Neal. He's another one. So I suppose it's bound to be if you're kind of just out in the garden playing with your dad, you're going to get good at basketball, aren't you?
Yeah, I guess it's just the pressure, right? It's the extra pressure that are on these kids because of the last name. And that's, that's the toughest thing for them to deal with. They have the skills to a certain level. It's just that extra pressure and attention.
Now, we've had over here, mainly aimed at sort of footballers, soccer players over here, Todd, of some pretty high-profile burglaries and attacks on people's houses. In some cases with the athletes and their families in the house at the time, which has been pretty horrible. It's been happening a lot in the States as well. Now the FBI have said they feel it's important not for top athletes to kind of flaunt their wealth on social media.
People know that, don't
I know, but it is quite tempting to go on Instagram and say, look at all my bling. But they're saying probably not a great idea. Makes you a target. You're just creating a shopping list. Mahomes has suffered from it, and Luka Doncic from the Mavericks and the NBA this week he had his house broken into this week.
Yeah, and listen, I'm sure it helps not flaunting it, but also just we live in a world where everyone knows what you make, right? Like I'm 56. I grew up in a time where people just didn't talk about what your salary. That was very private. But with the sports stars and the celebrities, what Luka Doncic makes, and right that he makes 40 million a year, 50 million a year for the next 10 years. Like, that sort of stuff. So even if you don't flaunt it, people know, and people also know, right, when you're on the road, when you're on a road trip,
sure.
right, when these things are happening. So yeah, I just think it's so tough. It's just so tough for to not be a target because everyone knows what you make.
And staying with basketball, in this case, women's basketball, it kind of proves just a level of celebrity that Caitlin Clark has got, the WNBA player. It was a big build-up to her appearing on the New Heights podcast, the Kelsey Brothers podcast, New Heights, which is huge.
New depths.
Yeah. Well, she was a guest this week, and we're just going to play you a little clip of it because she is a Kansas City Chiefs fan. There's been a few people saying, "Oh yeah, that's easy. It's easy getting behind the biggest team." But she said, "I am not a glory hunter." This is what she said.
I had family in Kansas City, and I grew up in Des Moines, Iowa, which is only 3 hours from Kansas City. So that's just the closest NFL team. So my dad was a big Chiefs fan growing up.
So cool.
People think I'm like a bandwagon Chiefs fan. I'm like, no, I was there before Patrick and Travis.
I love it.
We were ride or die. So we've been big fans. And now obviously all the success you guys have had has made it a lot of fun for us.
There we are, because there was a picture of her apparently in a sort of Chiefs outfit when she was a little girl. So that backs up her theory, Tom. But she is a huge star in American sport now, isn't she?
You could argue she's of the female athletes, she's number one, and her popularity, is up there with some of the top male athletes as well. Currently, like she's just a gigantic star.
Yeah, nice one, Tom. We'll catch up with you next week.
See you, boys.
There we are. There's Todd Macklin there, our man on the world of American sports. We've got the clips of the week returning very shortly. And then we're going to continue our build-up to the darts. Don't forget, 4 o'clock this afternoon, Andy Goldstein and Darren Bent will be live from Alexander Palace to build up to our live commentary from 7 o'clock. More excellent darts on the radio. But the guys will be joining you at 4, hearing from the players, etc., all the atmosphere in the build-up to the game. We're going to be in Holland a little bit later on. The Telegraph's very own Robin Jongmans. He is a friend of Michael van Gerwen's and the paper's darts reporter, where the sport is huge, as I'm sure you're aware. And we'll see what the mood is like over in Holland ahead of tonight's final against Luke Littler. That's all to come.
talkSPORT. News.
Yes, the darts gets underway. Our coverage begins at 7 o'clock live from Alexander Palace. We'll catch up with Andy and Benty very shortly, and they'll set the scene for what's coming up. Live from Ali Pally from 4. And don't forget, Sports Bar Weekender with Adam Catcher and Colton Cole talking football more once that World Final's over. With the King of Weekend Overnights, our old mate Martin Kellner, with extra time taking you through the night. But Sinead Garvin has the news headlines now.
Thanks, Paul. Good afternoon. Flu cases are rising at a very concerning rate, say the NHS, as figures show the number of patients in England quadrupled last week. Data suggests nearly 5,000 people were treated on Sunday. Former NHS Trust Chairman Roy Lilly says hospitals are under a lot of pressure.
It's not just the public that get the flu or any of these diseases, it's staff as well, and there's a huge amount of sickness in the NHS at the moment. This is the worst I've seen, I think, in terms of numbers.
An amber weather alert for snow and ice has been issued across most of England and Wales as we head into the weekend. Yellow alerts for wintry conditions will cover the rest of the UK. Weather expert John Hammond tells us where the worst of it will be.
The amber warning caters for the prospect of a foot of snow through Sunday across higher elevations of the Pennines, possibly Snowdonia, possibly the Peak District.
A 7-month-old boy died in a crash when the car he was travelling in hit a tree near Grantham last night. Lincolnshire police are looking at whether ice on the road was a factor. And Neil Young has done a 180 on his decision not to play Glastonbury. Yesterday, he said the BBC's involvement was a corporate turn-off. Today, he says he and his band will play, blaming an error in the information he received.
Talk Sport with Bostik. If you're looking for a professional grade sealant that offers technologically advanced performance, choose Bostik Pro Sealants.
Harry Maguire's contract gets extended, but he's told he needs to improve, and Eddie Howe says there's plenty more to come from Newcastle. Tomorrow's lunchtime trip to Spurs is live on talkSPORT.
Step up to the Oki for exclusive coverage of the PDC 2025 World Championship Final. Tonight from 7, live on talkSPORT.
That is something special!
talkSPORT hits the bullseye with live and exclusive commentary direct from Alexandra Palace as the giants of world darts clash in pursuit of the Sid Waddell Trophy.
It's double two!
The PDC 2025 World Championship Final. Tonight from 7, live on talkSPORT.
Clips of the week on talkSPORT with Toolstation. Conquer the entire job faster and easier with click and collect to over 550 stores nationwide for a job done right.
The talkSPORT Clips of the Week.
Yes, they're back for 2025. Andy, would you care to kick us off?
I'd love to, and we kick off the new year with Alan Brazil, who, alongside Ray Parlour, has spent Christmas perfecting his darts announcer impressions.
Because I think it's all part of darts, 108, brilliant.
108.
But who's the guy? You look with the gracious, but who's the guy? 108.
I have to say, I've listened to Alan regularly for 25 years. I've never heard him impersonate anybody.
He's never done impressions.
No,
There's a fair few impressions of him, aren't there? Morning.
Yeah, of course.
Fair few people having a pop at that. Even Gab has a go now and again, doesn't he? Here's King of Weekend Overnights, Martin Kellner, and we're guessing him and his caller won't be choosing James Bond films as their specialist subject on Mastermind.
She's a French actress, and I'll tell you what film she was in. No Time to Die, with, what's his name? Craig Thingy.
Craig David, No Time to Die, with 007.
Days a week.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Perfect.
Here we go. This is Dean Saunders with a tale of someone doing some last-minute Christmas gift shopping.
There was another fella, he was. I said, don't panic, he's going to buy his wife a Ten Hag watch.
I think it's a Ten Hag watch. I think she might be taking that back after Christmas, like what happened at United. I do love a nice Ten Hag watch.
I've got one. So.
You're wearing a Ten Hag today, Andy. You don't get. Nobody tries to cut your arm off on the way home.
That's tag.
It's not an expensive one. This is Leicester podcaster Chris Forian on the warm up with one we're calling "Stop Saying Poo, Chris."
You can't polish a poo, can you? Let's be honest with you. And Leicester City at the moment are a poo. A goalkeeper cannot keep clean sheets and not get you to win games if the defence in front of you is absolutely poo as well. And when he first joined us in that relegation season, the defence was poo.
Stop saying poo, Chris.
Clean sheets and poo is not a great combination, is it really?
Well, it isn't. It's not a combination at all. No.
That's true. Bit of an odd one now from Sam Matterface, who clearly enjoyed a crystal clear sporting Christmas.
The darts and the football over the Christmas period, absolutely sensational. I love it. I sit there stroking it, watching it, looking at
it. Sits there stroking it. Route 1, wouldn't it, really? So this is Stuart Pearce alongside Sam, actually, at Leicester versus Manchester City.
And within 2 minutes, right at the end of the game, they ended up losing it.
Well, that cloak of invisibility or invincibility, whatever you want to call it.
Well, ideally invincibility. Les Pep's gone all Harry Potter on us. Harry Potter and yet another defeat. Well, of course, they've won. That slightly blows that, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's true. Staying with the live football, this is Charlotte Richardson watching Palace versus Southampton.
And the Saints actually began the game really brightly. They took the lead when teenager Tyler Diblin tapped home from close range after great work down the left-hand side from Carl Peter Walker's.
Carl Peter Walker's. It sounds like a completely different person, doesn't it? I'm a big fan of Morgan White-Gibbs myself.
I like Arnold Trent Alexander.
Yes, he's very good. He is very good. Let's get some sports news now with Amelia Beltrao.
Luke Littler sets up a PDC final showdown with Van Goghen, and could Rashford go to Series A?
Well, I'd like to think he's going to go to that difficult first series, Series A.
Series B's much harder.
Yeah, Series B can be a lot harder, yeah.
Here's Darren Bent alongside Andy Goldstein on Drive, reflecting on Josh Windus's wonder goal for Wednesday.
And he just takes one touch forward, and I think it's bouncing a little bit, and he just absolutely smashes it. I won't say he smashes it, he clips it.
Well, what's he, smashed it or clipped it?
Yeah, he smashed it.
Sounds like he thought it was a bit spawny there, Benty, doesn't he? Where it sat up for him nicely. It did bounce a bit.
Wasn't for about 60 yards.
Not much of a goal at all, actually, when you come to think of it. Kane Reeves and Paul Ross on the overnight show now, seeing in 2025.
I wondered if Brazil had any sort of New Year's Eve traditions, because for us it's Old Lang Syne, isn't it, really?
Old Lang Syne?
Of course it's that.
That's not right, is it? Old Lang Syne. Who's Old Lang and what happened to his eye?
I've no idea.
God, I have no idea.
It's ridiculous, really.
Blimey.
It's one of those things that he's heard it, and he's often thought that, he's always thought that's what people are singing.
Yeah, that's right. I think Paul Ross did try and put him straight on it. He said, yeah, that's all I've heard. So let's all have a quick chorus of Old Lang Syne. Anyway, finally, Andy.
And finally, it's Alan Pardew running through the Liverpool squad.
Look at the bench today. Jones, Jota, Elliott, Nunez, Callagher, Quancy, Tismiskas.
I hope you all had a lovely Tismiskas and Happy New Year to you.
New Year.
And, it was, quiet Tismiskas. I don't know about you.
Very enjoyable family.
Yeah. I'd like to think that will take off now, and that there may be a whole glut of Christmas jumpers with Happy Tismiskas on it with Pard's face. That would be good. Like a bit like take off like Festivus for the rest of us in Seinfeld. Tismiskas, Alan Pardew. Funny enough, yes, he's going to monetize it. He's going to bring out a new album. Now that's what I call Tismiskas Volume 1. I think we may have an excerpt of it.
I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah.
Tismiskas. Tismiskas.
I gave you my heart, so this is
Tismiskas.
Yeah, I think it's a winner, isn't
Very
it?
good.
And many, many more. Not available in the shops, just direct from Pard's mail order.
Excellent.
So there we are. There were the clips of the week. We should thank Scully, Roger in Durham, Ken Oppener, Danta Claus, Naughty Boy. Isn't there a musician called that, Naughty Boy?
No, Badly Drawn Boy, isn't he?
No, there is. I'm sure there's a Naughty Boy as well. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I won't go into that. It's probably not him anyway. It's just some terrible pun that kids have made up next door. The Reverend Ruthless, Eric in Morecambe. Oh, for goodness sake. Lee Jensen, Jez Dobbs.
They're real.
Phoenix Ryan. It's possible, I suppose.
Yeah.
Stew pot noodle. That doesn't sound real. Curtis E. Carr. I'm saying these very carefully because I got sawn off once by the producer. David Walton. That sounds pretty real.
And Douglas McLeod, who sent me.
Oh yeah, Douglas. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Well done, Douglas.
So there we are. That he gave us Old Lang Syne. So you don't want to get that again. Get some ointment for it. So thanks for everybody who sent in clips. They got a mention this week, whether it was their real names or not. So if you would like to get a similar mention, just send us your clips in this week. You're here on TalkSport, TalkSport 2 or wherever. TalkSport.com/H&J. Text to 81089. Tweet to TSH&J. That's TSHANDJ. As always, we just need a day and a time when you heard the clip played out on the network so we can hunt it down, have a listen back, and if it's played, we'll give you a shout out. You can listen back to the clips of the week, those clips of the week, and indeed a whole back catalogue of clips of the week. Wherever you get your podcast, just look for TalkSport Clips of the Week. And the H&J Daily with some of the best bits of this afternoon. That will be available as well just after 4 o'clock, as our whole previous sort of back catalogue of other shows. So that was the Clips of the Week with Tool Station. Straight after us at 4 o'clock, we will head to Alexander Palace, where Andy Goldstein and Darren Bent are live, building up to a huge night of darts. And I believe we can catch up with Andy now. Andy.
Hello, good afternoon, Paul and Andy. It's me, Andy Goldstein, alongside, of course, the sneaker freak, Darren Bent. We are live. Have a look round. I know this doesn't work on the radio, but you can hear my words. We're live at Ali Pali, ahead of the final of this year's PDC World Darts Championship between Luke Littler and Michael Van Gerwen. Now, we have all been glued to the radio, listening to TalkSport's brilliant coverage on TalkSport 2 throughout the last 300 days or however long it's been on, and it's been brilliant. And now we're just down to 2 finalists, Benny.
Yep, looking forward to it. I know you want Littler to win. I'm kind of torn. Since it's my guy, cool hand Luke, you can see it in the darts there. Went out. I'm just enjoying the competition now.
Okay, now, famously, we did our show from Ali Pali last year, and I stayed, and you weren't a darts fan, so you went. So this will be the first time you've ever been here.
As in tonight?
Yeah, with everyone here.
Yeah, I can't wait. Really can't wait.
It's going to be exciting.
I'm glad that I've not got a dog in the fight, so I can enjoy it more.
Okay.
Because you know, if you've got a dog in the fight, you're a bit nervous.
Yeah.
But now I just can't wait.
Well, both dogs in the fight, Michael Van Gerwen and, of course, Luke Littler, will be live on our show. We are on at 4 o'clock till 7. And we've got a lot of big names turn up. Rusbray, or you probably know him as Rusbray, he'll be joining us. And Michael McIntyre will be coming down as well. And he'll be joining me and Benny to watch some great darts. We should end ourselves with great darts.
You go first, then?
So, because I'm going to talk to everyone so they can hear what I'm saying. Because some people are watching, most people are listening. So Darren Bent is on the hockey on stage here at Ali Pali. First 3 darts from Benny, high score wins.
10.
That's a 10, that's no good. That's 1, that's 11. And that is
18.
11 and 18, everyone knows he's 29. So here we go, my step up at the hockey, 29. I thought quickly, there's 20, I was easy. The no-look dart to win the match.
Missed it, and he's lost.
And
he's lost.
35
he's lost.
It's a draw. It's a draw.
You've lost.
So make sure you join me and Bentley. I don't know one. We're live at Ali Pali today, 4 p.m. ahead of live coverage of the final, the PDC World Darts Champions tonight, which sees Luke Littler up against Michael Van Gerwen. Make sure you join us for that.
Brilliant. Thank you, boys. Thanks very much. That's all live at 4 o'clock. If you're on YouTube, you would have seen them throwing the arrows. We're going to be crossing to Holland very shortly and speaking to a pal of Michael Van Gerwen's from De Telegraph. Their darts reporter, Robin Youngmans, joins us to give us a bit of a Dutch angle on tonight. I think quite a few people surprised he's gone all the way after a difficult year. So what are they saying over there? We'll find out in a few moments. We're here with our very good friends, the Tool Station Club, the loyalty programme that will get you 5% of every order. 18 plus, T's and C's apply.
talkSPORT traffic.
In Warwickshire, the M40 is closed southbound after a lorry caught fire. The M40 shut from junction 16 at Henley and Arden to junction 15 for Warwick. In Lincolnshire at Grantham, the A1 is closed southbound after a collision earlier, shut from the A52 turn-off along to the Grantham South exit. And in Hertfordshire, long queues on the anti-clockwise M25. The 2 lanes are shut for repairs near junction 23 for the A1M. I'm Adam Moore.
Game day. Score some Saturday football. It is in! Tomorrow, exclusive full match commentary of Manchester City versus West Ham.
Coverage from 2:30, kick-off 3 p.m.
on talkSPORT 2.
So we finished the day focusing once again on tonight's big darts final. Alexander Palace, PDC World Darts Championship. Is Michael van Gerwen taking on Luke Littler, and our focus, of course, has been on young Luke, the wonder kid, into his second final. But we shouldn't forget just what a fine player MVG is. He'll be going for his 4th world title. We caught up with him a couple of months back, and he did see him in fine fettle, and he's gone all the way. I said we were crossing to Holland to speak to our next guest, but what kind of darts correspondent would he be if he wasn't Ali Pally?
Of course he's Ali.
So Robin Youngmans joins us from The Telegraph. Good afternoon, Robin.
Yeah, good afternoon. Thanks for having me, guys.
It's great pleasure, yeah. As I said, there was something about Michael when we saw him at the draw for the tournament. He did seem very relaxed. He seemed very confident.
Happy in his own skin.
Yeah, he seemed in a good place, and maybe that's taken him all the way to the final.
Yeah, but he wasn't in a good place at all. It was the first time, actually, he told me about... lacking a bit of confidence and self-confidence, and that's something rare to Michael.
So he's played his way through it. Is that what you feel, Robin? You've looked at him in this tournament and you've seen a guy sort of playing his way through difficulties.
Yeah, he found himself again. He was training with Vincent van der Voort because he had the idea he had to do something extra to regain that level that he which he impresses the. I'm sorry for my English.
No, it's very good. Don't apologise.
The level to regain the level he impresses the world with.
Yeah,
I mean darts. Sorry, Paul, but darts is big, isn't it, in Holland? I mean, you've had Barney and Jelle Klaas, and there's loads of Dutch players, and so presumably there's a big audience for it.
Yeah, there's a really big audience, and we are all hoping he's the next bold one to impress England after all Arnie Slot.
Yeah.
So,
the Born Dutchman very much in vogue at the moment.
Doing quite well.
So I take it you've been speaking to him throughout the tournament. You get on well with him, pretty close to him. And so what's been happening as he's gone through round by round? Have you noticed that confidence coming back? What's he been saying to you?
It's definitely coming back. It was the first time yesterday that he was kind of relaxed, finally, again. So he's full of self-confidence before the final with Luke. Yeah, absolutely.
He's been saying that he fully expects Luke Littler to take his record from him and go on to great things. He just doesn't think it's going to be tonight. He's going to make him wait. I mean, you've watched both players in the build-up to this final. If you can kind of detach yourself from the fact you're a friend of Michael's, how do you see the game tonight?
Luke, there's always I think there's some tension around Luke when he's playing Michael. You've seen that in the statistics, it's like 6-all. If you see last year's, the matches between them in the last year, and I think that's not the case with any other player in the field. So yes.
It's understandable, isn't it, Robin? Because he's grown up watching Michael play. He's grown up watching Michael as a young kid. I mean, it must be quite difficult for a lad of 17 to. He's going to be on that. He's going to be up there on the hockey playing against the guy that he's watched win 3 titles in the past and has been a hero. It's difficult, isn't it, mentally?
Yeah, mentally, of course. Yeah, I think so. He says he's got no nerves at all. But what do you think, guys? Because he's 17 years old, no nerves at all against Michael van Gerwen. No,
It depends. I suppose it's going to be interesting to see the start that both men make, isn't it? And
We're just expecting a very, very high standard of darts. I mean, you can nerves can always play a part, but you'd imagine these two players at the top of their game. I can't imagine it's not going to be a fantastic game.
No, I can't imagine at all. And yeah, there will be more rivalry than in the matches against Aspinall and Bunting. His good mates.
There won't be any hugging, I don't think.
So, do you want to give us?
There was one particular moment in that match against Bunting when the ref got 180. I thought he had counted the fist bumps between the two of them.
So, if you're going to give us a score tonight, is it? I take it you're going to back your man, your friend.
Yeah, like Van Gerwen said, it will be a long final. So yeah, I really think it will be a 7-6 for Michael.
Wow, we're in for a long. Maybe it could even go beyond that. We may get into tie-break territory, mightn't we? So, Robin, enjoy the game. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
There we are. Robin Jongmans there from the Telegraph, the Dutch newspaper. He's their Dutch correspondent and a friend of Michael van Gerwen. And the darts chat's going to continue because in a few moments' time we head to Alexander Palace to build up to our coverage of the final that starts at 7. And it's Andy Goldstein and Darren Bent there live from Alexander Palace with lots of top guests, including Michael McIntyre, who's gone along this evening. So enjoy the show, enjoy the darts tonight, and indeed all the football we bring you this weekend on talkSPORT. Myself and Andy will be back on Monday with Danny Kelly and Troy Deeney and all the regulars. Till then, have a great weekend. Thanks for joining us.